taken you, not where the black coach of sorrow has taken you. Angels have no thought of ever returning you. Would they be angry if I thought of joining you? Gloomy Sunday. Gloomy Sunday. With shadows I spend it all. My heart and I have decided to end it all. Soon there'll be candles and prayers that are said, I know. Let them not weep, let them know that I'm glad to go. Death is no dream, for in death I'm caressing you. With the last breath of my soul, I'll be blessing you. Gloomy Sunday. Dreaming I was only dreaming. I wake and I find you asleep in the deep of my heart. Dear darling, I hope that my dream never haunted you. My heart is telling you how much I wanted you. Gloomy Sunday.
Hello, hi, I'm Carl. Home of the Carl, where we get the coral. And money. And extreme levels of depression. Hello, everybody. How are we today?
I'm doing pretty good, Carl. How are you?
I'm alive. I didn't get to stream
We
today.
have guests today, don't we?
Yes, I didn't get to stream today because my brother showed up at my house again.
Oh no.
Again.
Shit.
I was talking to my mom a bit about their situation. I compared it a lot to my old ex-roommate and his sister, who was a bane of my existence. So there's a lot of parallels. Not entirely, but there were quite a few.
Today he did a little different plan. He stood outside the door and tried to stay outside of the view of the camera. But because my room is directly to the right of the door, I could hear him
Oh, he ain't pulling nobody today.
threaten that
Carl's
he
too
was
smart for that.
the plan and the method in which he needs to contact us to receive his objects is that he needs to put in a message with the sheriff's department because he's harassed us enough to the point now that they're tired of it and we're tired of it. But what will happen if we try to engage with him normally is if there is a domestic dispute of any kind, any person who's a part of the aggressing parties go to jail. And that includes asking him basic questions like, is this shit that you left here in front of our garage in these bags? If I speak to him, I can go to jail.
Okay, that makes sense.
It does not make sense.
Well,
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I'll shut up.
The problem is that it's, well, you could be antagonizing him, but it's like, is this yours? I'm not responding to you. Officer, can you ask him, is this his? And they have to then act on our behalf as basically like laboratory hands in the middle of a screen, operating with a very extremely rational person having a regular one. But it doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any worse. It's actually half the reasons why I actually chose to quit my job at the place that I cannot tell you about. It's not because it's NDA, it's because if I tell people, they're going to try to dox me again.
Yeah,
And
they usually do that.
the issue is, and the issue was, they tricked us! They tricked us! They brought us in as temporary workers. And we were being paid weekly. If I tally up how much they were actually paying us on a regular basis, including overtime, basically, I was making about $2,000 every 15 days, which is what went towards paying our guests, or at least a guest right now. The other one's out doing the wash with his laundry. One of our guests today, which is one of our editors, well, my editors.
Yeah,
And
I think they're chill.
That paid for computer parts, it paid for bills, it was slowly paying off a bunch of other shit, it helped pay for the Switch, it helped pay for a lot of things. And then, when they transferred me over to permanency, they put us onto a bi-weekly pay schedule. And the idea here is that it's basically sacrificing that weekly pay for the benefits of job security, but there is no job security because they're working people to the bone and taking full advantage of not actually doing proper orientation. Because here's the problem. When you switch over, they basically tell you, okay, here's what the options and the slots that we have open for where we are. And I was working...
God.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Here's the options. Here's the options that we have open, right? So, they told us you can either go to the C shift embossing, or you can go to the D shift vault. Now, the vault is where we made the jobs that would then cut the cards that we needed to work in. Very simple position. Anybody can emboss. It's really not that hard. It is literally running the operation, pointing and clicking, starting up the program, and running the program. The problem is with the machine has an issue, because if that motherfucker goes kaput, you can't do shit, because it requires Intrust data card to fix it. And they're the people who have to handle financial transactions when it comes to credit cards. So much so that if something destroys or causes an error in a card printing job, and there is no way to salvage that card, if it's not something to do with the label on the card so that it can be activated, it must be destroyed in the vault. Now in the vault, this is where we have all the fucking masses of cards, so that if something happens on said job, that we can replace it, and where we construct said job to then be embossed, where it goes through the process of being created, right? So I'm thinking, oh, it's not going to really be that hard. It's going to be less work than I was doing here. No, that's a goddamn lie. When I rotated in, the problems began with a person deciding to try and make me do things that I did not have access to and writing emails on my behalf. It started out not being annoying, but then it became extremely annoying, and then the reason why I chose to quit, on top of all the other reasons. But in order of annoyance, 1, the leadership in this vault did not have proper leadership, to the point when I confronted him and explained to him, listen, you pulled me aside and told me I need to clean up my fucking problems, but here's the problems I fucking have, and I wrote them out very clearly, and I communicated to him. He didn't register the way that his behavior looks to someone who's on the fucking edge. when I'm already dealing with the problems I'm dealing with. 2, the problem with my brother never went away. He's been harassing us since. He continues to harass us to this day, period. It's probably not going to stop for as long as I live in this town. Which makes me want to move away. But I can't go anywhere, because if I was to go anywhere, I have to bring my mother with me. Number 3, because they were not taking my problem seriously now that I was in the vault, my management did not understand, hey, if there's something that happens at my house, I have to deal with that problem, and I will be late if this happens during work hours. And they're like, well, you gotta understand, I understand that, but you're making decisions because it's not us, it's the global payment service. And it's like, yeah, however, do you want someone to be in jail for elder abuse when something happens at their home? Or would you like to have a worker that's able to come in like 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes late, and if it's raining because I have to ride a bike to work, sometimes maybe an hour because it's waterlogged and I don't want to get crashed into on the road, and all the other issues that would happen with a person traveling to a job like this.
Carl, I'll be honest with you, this reminds me of the same kind of frustration I had in retail. I worked at Walmart for the longest time, and this is this kind of frustration where you're like, I'm just trying to help you guys. I want to help you guys. What the fuck? Like, retail for me was a nightmare. I'm currently at a job where this is why I'm rooting for you, man, because I have a maintenance job that's everything you're describing. Like my management, as long as I come and do job, go home, they have no problem with me. Like, my boss is like, I am willing to work with this crazy guy because he does his job, and if we had more people like him, we wouldn't have as much of a problem as we do. But we don't. So, yeah. So, but no, I'm sure you can find one. I believe in the Carl that believes in all of us, and I'm pretty sure Knight agrees. I would argue.
Now,
we go on a limb and say that.
Well, thanks. That matters a lot. Now, the key issue here comes down to a couple of issues. One of the most ones being what caused this, right? I chose to quit directly on a Saturday night, which is the beginning of the work week, because of the fact that it's like, so clearly you're giving me the whole, well, give me a week to put things together, because they were already processing my severance at this point.
God.
Yeah, because I received that shit a little bit too goddamn quick. And they didn't just do this to everybody who's been there and left, or who's been there and quit. They did this to people who were permanent, that they pretty much pressured into quitting, which was one of my personal friends, which was the reason I came to this job in the first goddamn place. Because I wanted something that was come in, do the work, go home.
Go home.
Every single day. Come in, do the work, go home. On time. When the work gets done, hand me the work, and if I complete all the work you have necessary, I'm like, okay, are you giving me overtime? No? Okay, I'm leaving early. Bye. Yeah. Because it was very easy. Because they set up the system the way they set it up, what actually went down was that when we came in for normal embossing, we came in on the D shift, which is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I want to say B shift is same hours, but the opposite days of the week. So technically filling in on Monday and Tuesday, because the weekdays are what we call fast card, what they call fast card days. This is where they have jobs that have to come in and come out and be done daily. You know, rich, expensive shit. I feel like I've explained it before, but it's important to note this, because on those days, those were the days that they would then ask you, because the off days for me then were Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, rotating into the next 4 work days. They would then ask you on those 3 days of your days off, will you work overtime? Which basically means that your late night is now occupied by bullshit. Now, technically, this is a 40-hour work week. So 4 days, 10 hours. 10 hours overnight does not feel like 10 hours. It feels like 12.
Yeah, I can believe that entirely, dude.
And when they originally hired us, they told us you're going to be here for 12 hours. This is not like when I was at the metal plant, okay? That's a physical job where I have to check shit and actually do things, move around. So the 12 hours don't feel like 12, it feels like 6. Because
my job is very menial in that same context. I get what you mean on that, especially
because like even though we could use MP3 players to play music, we still physically are mentally stuck here. We can't go anywhere. And with the very minimum, with just the factory job there, when I was working on those milling machines, I was responsible and knew every single part of that position, and I learned it the same way I learned this one. By scratch, by hand, with a lot of help from those that were like, oh, this man wants to learn? Okay, we're going to teach you how to do this shit today, Carl. Here you go. Here's your tool. Here's your tool. Here's your measurement stick. Don't get your hand caught in that shit. And don't wear long sleeve clothing. All right, come with me. They held you by the hand. And we're going to let you fuck up because this is $1 million machine. Same thing here. These $1 million machines in this plant ran like fucking $1,000 because they'd break all the fucking time because they didn't properly repair them. And when that motherfucker breaks, well, guess I'm not cutting cards in that machine anymore. Gotta move to another one. Eventually, the first boss that I had, who I guess I'm technically friends with him now. I'm not quite sure. I haven't messaged him since, which pretty much tells me the sign that, he's not gonna have contact. But at the same time, they're now swamped with a fuckload of work that came out of fucking nowhere because of all the business deals that I've been going through. Because one of the advantages that I had, at least being here in the plant, is I knew exactly which jobs and which businesses and which companies were doing great. And all of them financial.
Boy.
Because all of them are the ones printing fucking cards. Partnership deals with
what could possibly go wrong
of supermarket chains, Fortune 500 companies, with this being a Fortune 500 company itself. Just dealing with the rigmarole
I'm just
of
like
daily business.
I can see how quickly this fell apart. It's like this reminds me so much of when I quit Walmart first time.
All of the overtime that we were working through when we were brought in with temporaries, because we started out with just 2, myself and someone else. And then, well, actually, no, that's a lie. There was 3 of us, myself and 2 other people. But they weren't working in the same position I was. They were further down the chain. I was the first part of that chain. When we started, we had those 3, and they were struggling to learn. Whereas I learned that shit within the first 2 fucking weeks. And then they had me on the machine by myself, but they were still supervising me. And then once they became sure, oh, you can leave Carl alone, and that motherfucker's gonna run anyways, and he's gonna print and get out at least anywhere between 5,000 to 23,000 cards within 10 hours. Yeah, we don't actually need to worry about him. And it's fine, because it's not like he doesn't know where I was, right? If my machine's automatically running and it's loaded, I know that shit's gonna run and be fine for 15 to 30 minutes. Guess where the fuck I was? In the break room, on Twitter, because that's the only time I got to actually interact with people in the real world, which is what then caused me to start using TikTok. Once we got to the point where it was about maybe 3-ish months in, there was a day where I'm running 4 machines by myself, all different ones that work for different processes, and I realized this, and he looks at me and he's like, congratulations, you're an operator now. He goes, fucks off to the other side of the building.
Oh my god.
It's not bad. He's just like, yeah, this is what it is. This is your life now. And I wasn't upset about it, because on those days off, and on my overtime days, I come in, it's like, hey, Carl, big, heavy-set dude, who worked in the vault, who then came to the outside. He didn't know a goddamn thing, but it didn't matter, because he was jovial as shit, and everybody loved to fucking see him. I come in, hey man, what you doing? Like, hey Carl, can you do this entire cage? No problem. 6 hours later, okay, I'm leaving. Cage done, bye. Okay, thanks Carl, no problem. Easiest $600 in my fucking life. Do that on repeat.
I love that sort of thing. It makes what should be work feel so much easier.
Yes, it's no longer work.
Yeah.
Because the way that this business works is that the daily jobs have certain deadlines they need to be out by. And I know I've explained this before. If a deadline is late on a job, it's not that the job is late and you impose a $200 fee for the entire job. Every single card is a late fee. $200 on a card job for Barclay, where their CEO that just I either was suspended or was switched out as an ex-CEO a couple of months ago, who was back in the news like last week. When you have a job that's 25,000 in one card jobs, that is a lot of money. And it's that we have entire job cages of those by the hundreds. an entire work floor in the center that goes around the entire size of, let's say, the frozen section of a supermarket. That's about the proper size of this location. So from one side of the door, from a spinning insert that requires a badge in, to the other side, with a couple of further back sections, and then a further back section for pickup from FedEx cars and Brink's armed vehicles with machine guns. You have an extremely large floor space from corner to corner. It has machines, shelves, more machines, a specific back section that is worked over by the mechanics directly from the trust data card, and a bunch of more machines for filing, sorting, sifting, and finding. And your job for anywhere between 12 to sometimes maybe a short, if you happen to be filling in for your hours there, 8 hours is you doing this job on this entire work floor, but you're confined to about the space of a normal office cubicle area, if you count all of the cubicles itself.
That's... Ooh.
Got cameras everywhere and security everywhere. But this is fine because of the fact that we, if we are working in the embossing section, have to physically go find new jobs to then bring to our machines, and then go take a piss, go to the break room, or whatever. Inside of the vault is a much different situation. We are basically confined into this area. Granted, we have access to the internet, but what does that actually matter when all of the fun sites have already been barred and blocked? Which, ironically enough, did not include Facebook and did not include YouTube or Reddit. Take with that what you will. When we're stuck in the vault, you have to cut jobs with loyalty, and you sort and file jobs throughout the entire workday based on a flow cycle. They drop at certain times, but not every job drops every single day. So, for things like fucking the rush card, for example, that's called Green Dot. That drops at a specific time of day, like later on in the night, around about midnight to 1, and it drops a bunch of card jobs that have single individual cards that have to actually be stacked and filed and sorted. But looking and finding these cards is kind of like being inside of a pharmaceutical clinic when they are packaging pills. Shelves upon shelves of cards that are identified by item number and by bank, but all of them are different. So if you look in your wallet right fucking now, listener, and you look at your cards, just flip that motherfucker over and just analyze it. There is 100 million different cards like that inside of this vault space, inside of the working vault and the holding vault, which is pretty much what it sounds like. A giant-ass warehouse, where we have to get on the fucking stack picker for an order pick called the Wave. We have to ride it around like a fucking moped and scale anywhere up to 3 stories high to go get 3,000 box size card jobs that held 500 a sleeve, that are 6 to a box, and then organize your card jobs to print out your card so it can be shipped to your house within 5 to 7 business days. And boy, motherfucker, you're gonna feel those 5 to 7 business days, because they will never give you a fucking break. Barely, if ever. When they brought me into that vault, there was 3 of us. One of those people decided to cockwatch me the entire fucking time.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I hate those people.
Then, on Monday and Tuesday, which was the normal proper workday for the other people, it went from being 3 people to 10 people in the vault. But 2 of those people go home at midnight, and the rest is the day shift that rotates out. So then it goes from about 10 of us to about 5 of us. But 2 of them dedicatedly work inside of the loyalty cage. So then it's kind of like 2 people in the loyalty cage, 5 people on the floor. One of those people sits on Reddit all fucking day and does nothing but look up fucking epoxy builds so he can make hobby printing shit. His family is rich and loaded. He just simply has this job because it pays for his shit for his hobby. I can't be mad at that. But boy, this motherfucker doesn't do any goddamn work as is. Then, there's a really squirrely mousy girl in the back, who, for the longest time when I was on the floor as an embosser, I tried to learn everybody's names, and they would not stop fucking teasing me about this girl, because they're like, oh my god, Carl wants to smash! And then, there's another older woman who, between her and the other older dude, were the only people who gave me fucking assistance with learning that goddamn vault because of my goddamn dyslexia. And then there's the fucking boss, who pretty much brought us in and is like, here's the job, this is all you really need to know. And off of that, and not telling us the tragic parts of this, we're like, okay, well, it couldn't be that bad. Well, see, here's the thing. Once we finally actually got me into orientation, because at this point I'd been in the vault for about maybe a month, and I actually got to go through proper orientation, because they do virtual orientation. They streamline and outsource their training to a automatic program that they're partnered with, just like with something in the form of
Walmart.
Fucking no, not Walmart. Kind of like fucking Talent Reef, but it's the other one. Workday. But this one is through an even more obscure training section. And in that motherfucker, guess what they say about changing positions inside the company?
Don't.
No, you have to work for that position for at least 2 years. Or depending on your region. Now, on what day was it? October the 4th. He pulls me aside. Hey, Carl, it looks like you're struggling. It seems that you're not paying enough attention on the floor. I don't know. Why do you think that would be? Well, I don't know anything about what you happened in your last position. There's the first red flag. I don't know what happened in your first position, but if we feel like you need to be moved somewhere, we're going to have to do that because you're going to have to start focusing a little bit more. So, basically, my boss just walked up to my fucking head and put a gun to me and said, hey, bitch, if you don't fucking work harder, I'm gonna get rid of your ass.
I can imagine the blue screen thing. Black screen laugh. Sorry.
By his own words, he thought, well, I addressed that to you, and I thought that was the end of the problem. No, just threaten your job security. I thought you got the message. So, for me, for the next 2 weeks and a half, I am sweating fucking bullets, trying and praying not to fucking do an unalive in Minecraft or Terraria, while at the same time trying not to strangle the fucking life out of him. Because he's not getting that on this floor, I can't read anything. The dyslexia gets worse and worse every single day until I confront him and I tell him, or rather, I tell his boss, who actually has authority over him, because there's a whole bunch of fucking nepotism and ass-kissing that went into getting him his position. So if I had gone to any of the people that I shouldn't have gone to in the incorrect order, I would have just been overridden, and then it would have been fucking lights out for Carl earlier than it was.
Oh my god, this reminds me so much of Walmart.
I went through the correct chain of command, speaking to all the people who had the authority to then switch me over to another position. And unfortunately, because I went 1 week later, because I was trying to do my best to learn the job, to try and fucking tough the fuck out, I just missed the position for a C-shift transfer. But I went to all the official people and I asked them, who do I need to speak to and what is the correct procedure and chain of command? And I go to one person and the other. The boss that I just had for embossing speaks me up to the other person who would have been for the position I would have transferred to for C-shift embossing. And they're like, well, shit, I don't have anything open. But, you can talk to so-and-so over a fixing. And a fixing is where we take fucking little bitty bit of tape and we put it on the fucking newsletter that goes in the goddamn mail that you get to your card. Not a very hard job. Just as annoying, but I'm on the outside now. I'm free to walk around. I can stretch my fucking legs. I'm not stuck in the vault, reading shit. I go to them. Well, I don't know what I can be able to do until they can get to me, but you should be able to talk to so-and-so. Go to so-and-so. And I lay out as simple as possible what my problem is. And in his mind, he's a mid-shift boss. He doesn't actually give a shit. As long as his fast guards get done and nothing's late, he doesn't give a fuck. So, as far as he's concerned, what he heard me say was, I have a problem and I need you to fix it. Which is the correct order of what needed to happen. Because immediately as I told him, I have a problem and I need to fix it, he went to his ass and said, I have a problem and I need you to fix it. Because you lack leadership skills. So you need to fucking solve this shit. Because you caused this fucking problem. He doesn't know what the goddamn problem was caused by. All he knows is that I'm distressed and I have a problem. So he's gonna fix it. Which is the correct response I needed. So then, when he addresses me, and this was what led to strike number 2, to me deciding to leave. Instead of bringing me to what we call the bull pit, which is a sliding door that has a door that you can move across so that you can basically make it an enclosed space, which, okay, enclosed spaces, but the coof, guys, the coof! Enclosed space where you can have proper segmented and isolated meetings with people, or the war room, which is even further back across from the offices inside of technically what would be the area of the cubicles over what we call the work floor. Instead of to have this conversation with me there, he brings me into the open air fucking back receiving vault.
Oh God, I know
where everybody can hear us, and starts to try and lay into me. So me, nicely, calmly, take out one sticky note, take out another sticky note, take out another sticky note, take out another sticky note. Labeled, dated, exact word statements. And then, when he gets annoyed and says, well, that didn't happen, I pull out my handy-dandy MP3 player. Oh, what's this? It's a recording of exactly the words that were said. 4 of them, going back as far as the months that I'd been there. Do you understand what I'm talking about now? Oh, bitched up real fucking quick. I could hear his booty hole pucker. Just all the air just suctioned the fuck out. Right? Now, he's terrified because he doesn't know what to do next here. He literally does not know what to do because technically, if he claims, well, he's causing problems, no the fuck I'm not. I have a problem and I need you to solve it. You did not solve my fucking problem, so I went to those who have the authority to solve the problem. Because there's only 3 people who have authority over the work vault, because it's not the same as the work floor. Where I was on the work floor, I had a supervisor, and that supervisor was cool as shit. Very simple. Even though I had another one who was a pain in the fucking ass, I actually reported to him. He was not my boss. The cool guy was my boss. Here on this floor, I didn't have anyone except his dumbass and the mid-boss, and then the day shift boss. But I had no contact with the day shift boss, because why the fuck would I talk to the day shift boss if I'm on the overnight? So, what was supposed to be pretty much as simple, the jobs come in, we file the jobs, we do the job, became someone over my shoulder every single second of every single workday, trying to tell me what I should do and what I can't do, or where I can go or where I can't go, on top of the procedure that you cannot leave the work vault, or you cannot enter the work vault if there is less than 2 people, and this is because you can't have one person in the vault by themselves. Then that leads to risk, because then people could steal cards, they could use them to then cut for financial institutions that members' file number and members' banking number is registered to, and effectively, basically commit fraud. It's as simple as if a card was successfully cut and had someone's data on it, we could go to the break room, we could use the card inside of the 5-star kiosk machine to buy something, and it would be charged to that person's account. That's how instantaneously those card numbers work. So you have to physically actually make sure that those cards register with the identification number so that the proper information can go through the process of being able to be charged back. Because at this point of the stage, if somebody wanted to commit card fraud, they would just need your banking number and your account statements, which we handled those as well too. It was handled in another section of the building, but we had access to them at every single stage of the point. Because EMT PIN cards, you know, the pin shit is the most insecure thing in the fucking goddamn planet. Like, every single bit of it. Like, what is it called? The fucking stabbers, shivers, bumpers? RFID transfer slips that can be inserted inside of keycard positions that allow you to basically immediately get somebody's information without actually having to steal it directly, just indirectly. Shit like that. And that's how all of the key cards inside the building worked too. So, a person who really wanted to fuck them over would be able to work overtime and commit fraud. And this is actually the reason why we couldn't have devices on the floor, because somebody did do this like years ago, and it took them months to catch them because they're that fucking incompetent. But anyways,
wow.
But anyways, he decides to try and lay it out to me, and I am fucking holding back tears of anguish and annoyance. And I say to him into his face, after I shook his hand, I told him, listen, you need to understand, here's my problems, and I need you to solve them, and you need to work this shit the fuck out today. I don't want to wait, because if you wait and it happens again, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to leave, and you're gonna wonder, well, fuck, I'm gonna have to find someone new. Because the position I was filling was for somebody who actually already quit, not because she was having problems, but because she was in school. She couldn't balance the bullshit of the vault while also trying to work on her degree. come that fucking Saturday, we come into the goddamn vault. And we had simple jobs to put together, which is fucking net spend. Very, very in-house, big card jobs that stack by boxes of 21 and 22 and 23 and shit. You have to be very meticulous about counting them, because you have to have the right amount of cards and they have to be the right item number. And these motherfuckers look the same because they're all cut from Visa and MasterCard and different fucking prepaid systems. Once our third guy comes in, I'm going through and checking all the jobs, because sometimes people are lazy and they leave jobs incompleted. He comes in, he looks directly at me within earshot of him and says, "Oh, Carl, do you want to do this card job? I will be able to take over for it because I want to make sure that it is right." "Oh, do you want to do this card job?" "Oh yeah, absolutely. Here you go." Fuck over to the other side of the vault to start doing the other jobs. Over in the corner, I hear, "Oh wait, nah, hell nah. You just worked the entire week. That's not fair. Carl, you need to do this job." Walk back over. Okay, looking right in his face when I said it too. Walk over to the job. Let's try to put together the job. Frustration rising. Start getting blurry. I can't see shit now.
Oh god, I have those moments.
Try to complete the job. Walk back over. Job's done, but you're probably going to want to check it before you start going through the banks. Go into the loyalty vault. Let's try to calm down. Try to do the rest of the fucking loyalty jobs, because that motherfucker can take a goddamn while, because we have to check those ones the same way we have to check the other ones. Because boy, if you think fraud with bank numbers is easy, think about the gift card fraud with cards that can be as expensive and as valuable as thousands of dollars in gift cards. Literally, in one single card. I don't know what the fuck Navy Fed's on, but they need a knot. They just really need a knot. But same situation, same thing. You need to make sure they're correct. You need to make sure the correct amount of cards are coming in and the correct amount of cards are coming out. I'm doing these things. He starts to check over the banks. Another member from that same shift, but from a different section, because they work in the express side during the weekend, comes in and wants to help him destroy cards. But they're going to the banks first, because, hey, gotta get the banks done. He cuts through the cards, and this motherfucker wants to call me over saying, "Hey, Carl, well, one of these was a little bit off." "Oh, was it? How many was off?" "Oh, just one card." Go back to what I was doing. "Hey, can you come out here and help us count it, though?" "Okay, no problem." Go fuck over to another one of these big-ass things. Getting real more frustrated now. Start counting this box, and he can visibly see me struggling to count this box, because now he can clearly see that I'm fucking irritated. Then the card that he was looking for, that he did not inform any of us that he was looking for, and that was the point that fucking pissed me off, to the point that I decided, nope, I'm quitting today. He was looking for cards for one of his jobs that was missing. I'm looking at this box and trying to figure out why the fuck he keeps saying that it's 2 cards off, because my brain is not registering that it is 2 cards off. I can tell that it's 2 cards off, but I don't know exactly how many cards are missing, because he's not telling us he's looking for shit. So I physically took it over to one of the stack counters that are called Thors. Automatic electronic counters that move on the bottom scale to physically count shit. Same number each time. Okay, no problem. Go fucking write down the proper number and circle it, because I don't fucking know that he's looking for 2 cards out of it. He didn't say shit to us. Not a goddamn shit. Go back into the fucking loyalty vault. Start doing the rest of the cards. "Carl, you circled this number on this box, but I was looking for 2 things." "Oh, you know what? You're right. I probably should have asked you to help with that. Because you see, I was counting it over here on this machine, and I was trying to figure out why the number looked wrong to me. Turns out, I was 2 cards off." He physically walks over. He sees the number, and he's like, "Oh, you were counting it. Well." And he just stares at me. He just stares at me.
So he thought you weren't counting it this whole time?
No, he thought I was not. He thought I was going through the motions, not giving a shit.
What? Wait, that was the. Oh my god!
What did he think your job actually was if you were doing it and he didn't realize that?
It's because he didn't actually think about shit. Because whenever he's on the computer, whenever he's not doing his proper job, he's loading shit up on Instacart and watching YouTube videos about ministry, or watching.
And he thinks that everyone else is like him. What the?
He knows. He knew at this point in time. Because at first they did not understand. But then after watching me try to find cards that need to be replaced, they're like, why is it taking Carl so long to figure out what the banks are? And then they're just watching me walk circles around the vault, look for a card, and they're staring at the box and it's like, oh! He's dyslexic!
Wait, this whole time they didn't...
No, in the first 2 weeks they didn't understand. Then after the first month they understood. And I've been there for about, 2 months and a half before I actually got my proper orientation and learned the bullshit of, you can't transfer out because you have to be here for some odd amount of time. Which was really funny. He threatens to rotate me out of the vault. But then, when it comes time to say, okay, I'd like to go somewhere, I'd like to leave, because this is clearly not fucking working, because you're not taking my shit seriously, he's like, wait, no, please, we can't, we need you. That bullshit. So, in this situation, 3 things occurred. Number 1, he's not my boss. He doesn't have any authority over me, so why is he deciding what I work on? Number 2, you were told by me, hey, you should probably check this first because the cards you're looking for may not be correct. Because you know for a goddamn fact that I was upset. Because you know that he asked to work on this job. And you know that I work on the smaller jobs. Not because I'm lazy, but because it is simple enough for me to check through to make sure everything's fucking right. Because the less shit that I touch, the more sure you know that it's correct. I can help you find the fucking cards, but if I put that job together, and you don't meticulously check everything, you're gonna have to worry about it. So what's simpler? The person who does it on a regular basis taking care of it? Or the person who can easily be able to find other shit because in that capacity, he knows how to operate the machine systems, can do it.
Oh my god, I'm starting to realize the exact issue here. Oh my gosh.
Or...
So he's like, you want to work? I want to work on this. You want to work? Can I work on this? Sure. And then he's like, oh hell no, you're offloading it to that guy. Do that one instead. And you spend all this time basically trying to figure it out because you're dyslexic. And then eventually he's like, oh, he actually is doing his job, even though theoretically, oh my god, it's. Finally, it all clicked now, and I'm just sitting here like, holy fucking shit. I mean, I hate to say, I know you're not gonna do this, but like, that's like. Almost close to like
it's mental torture is what it is.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying is that you could probably there may be something with like Disabilities Act and all that shit.
Oh, there is, but these motherfuckers do not care about following things to the letter unless it benefits them.
And they could pay for that. Is what I'm trying to say.
They will pay for it.
If you really wanted to just put the knife in, you could do that. I'm just saying.
Oh, it won't work because they've already paid me. $200 for my emotional trauma. $200.
$100. Are you? I mean, I know you're serious. I'm just sitting here like, this reminds me of the stress I went through working in retail to a T. With someone with Asperger's like me, this is why I'm happy to have the job I have, because holy fucking shit, I know these feels. Oh, you're describing them. Oh my lord. It actually infuriates me what I'm hearing.
This is why I decided to do a technical degree, because now I can literally just sit at my computer at home and people can leave me alone and just let me do my thing.
Yeah. I mean, I like menial labor jobs. I mean, to a certain extent. It just, like, the problem is, like, anxiety and just dealing with the insanity of stupidity. Like, if I get a boss that I really like working with, which is what I have right now, it's great. And they know how to handle me. I know how to handle them. It's great. But if there's someone who's like, I was mentioning this to my coworker, I completely forgot that she was gone long before he got in. But like, there was this old coworker who like did subs for my area and maintenance one night, and then was like, he's not getting stuff done. Why isn't he getting stuff done? And he started hounding my tail. And it got to the point where I'm like, I can't. You are literally. Come in, do a job, go home. That's what I like. And she was like, no, I have to hound his ass. I was like, you're not even a boss, okay? If it was my boss, okay. And I don't do this to other people because I know it's not, like, I know how annoying it is, and it's not my business. Imagine. I mean, she eventually lost her job. She eventually stopped caring at another position in her school, and I'm like, oh, what a surprise. She's gone now. And by the end of it, she was all passive-aggressive like a fucking Karen. I don't know, she was like a high school graduate, and she had no idea. You know how it is.
Well, unfortunately, once it got to the point that I got annoyed, we were in the loyalty vault putting things together, and I was basically finishing as many of the jobs that I wanted to until I decided I was gonna leave my take my fucking ass the fuck on. And I finished about 15 jobs of them. I walked to the bathroom after then grabbing my cell phone off the charger in the break room, and I talked to Jay while shitting and explained to her what I felt. And I was talking about it, and she's like, well, you should do it just right now. And you're like, you know what? You're right. I should. I'm going to do it right now. So I grab a piece of pen and paper, and I make sure to start removing everything that is my personal possession, because once I quit, I cannot come back in, because they pull your tag so that you cannot re-enter the building. Clear out my locker, grab my other ramen container and my other chopsticks. Go back into the vault, even though on his desk, when you get the notice, ask him why I left. Period. P.S. Thank you for the opportunity. Carl. On his desk. Leave. Go around and go find the other lead from Boston, because he's a supervisor. I'm going to tell him, you're going to want to write an email to my boss because I quit, and here's why. And he's like, wait, hold on. I have to take you to the back. Because they need to have an understanding of what's going on. Because it's basically at this point he say, she said. But he knows, because I just talked to him about this shit last fucking week. So he's like, okay, I see. And the other guy, he doesn't give a shit, because it's like, oh, all right, pull his badge. Let's go to him out of the way. And we go through. And of course, it's the meanest shit guard that couldn't be fucking bothered to check fucking people's orders from DoorDash that threatened to not pick my shit up, who happened to be working that night. So he's like, oh, he's quitting? Okay, well, gonna have to bring with you. Come with me, sir. He ends up being the one that escorts me out to the outside. And he checks the locker, because I just gave him the key before I left. Because I went from the bathroom into the locker room, cleared out the shit in the locker, took the key and the lock off my chain, and then turned it back into him. He's like, oh, you don't need this anymore? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Because this man's not thinking. He's busy playing fucking Minesweeper in the security desk.
Oh my god.
Come back out, go from there. He pulls my badge. I'm like, hey, hold on, wait. Let me get the lanyard and the actual chain, but you can keep the badge. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. Because they don't need the fucking lanyard that the badge is on. He goes to him, and fun part, because I chose to quit in the way I did, he had to either sit in a place where he could be able to keep vision of myself in camera, which is what he ended up doing, or he had to sit out here and wait until a ride came to get me from the premises.
Oh, that's funny.
See, I eventually, he's like, oh, just wait over here in the section where you usually keep your bike. This is fine, because I just need to be able to see where you are. But I'm like, oh no, bitch, you gonna freeze tonight. Everybody's getting my animosity, and you are unfortunately the unlucky target. How's it feel?
You can't pick my super bitch.
It's what you get for fucking my food up. You should have picked up my Taco Bell.
Never deprive a person of Taco Bell.
Man,
I mean, look the lengths Gaston went to get his Taco Bell.
And that's just the story of how I chose to fucking quit. But man, you want me to talk about how many fucking ways DoorDash could fuck somebody's food up? I have plenty of stories.
I've seen the tweet.
Now everybody's seen the tweets from when I'm at home, but oh my god, it's different when I was at work. The level of laziness, and sometimes the level of professionalism in the places you could have least expected it. So, I have two in particular that is funny as shit. And only funny because one is good and one is bad. So, good story. I ordered some Popeyes because I wanted to buy some food for friends. I bought a fucking family feast so that me and two other friends that work there could be able to eat on our lunch break while I was still in Boston. We ordered the food. They're on the way, but they're lost because the road on which and the area of the estate on which the business's main campus creation area is a giant fucking area of the map that once you get close to it, on an actual roadmap that is not updated for topography, especially GPS, the physical location blends into one large area and disappears from the GPS. You have to physically be standing in the property, or you need to have your vehicle inside the property to know, this is actually the job. Because if you look at it from the map, the front of the building is the back of the building. So when you're coming in on the road, because it's a 4-way intersection, there's a giant sign on the front that tells you, this is the giant, this is the security financial business. But if you were to go on that road, there's a bunch of turnoffs. One will lead you towards what's called Building 100, which is technically where they handle paperwork in the call center. The second one is the receiving decks, which is nothing but shipping decks. The third one is the actual turnoff to Building 200 and 300. 300 is basically a gym and a lounge for the purposes of relaxing when you're on the property, because when you're at work, you can't actually leave the premises until your shift is done. Or
you can check out at any time you want, but you can never leave.
Exactly. So they're like, you know what? Let's install like a gym and a swimming pool and like other shit that you'll never get to use because you're constantly under crunch. And then Building 200, which is the actual factory itself, subdivided into a big-ass break room, the administrator offices, and the work floor, and then the work vault, and a bunch of other things from a second floor and third floor position. But nobody ever goes up there, because the only time that's used is when they're doing things in the further back vault, where they actually have all of the fucking forklifts and shit. Actually reminds me of another story, but let me finish this one first. So, we order the chicken. I get 2 of the whitest white girls that I could have ever seen in my life whiting it up in their car. However, after they hand me their food and they're all giggly saying, hey, we're sorry, we got lost, somebody in front of them that just happened to pull in for another delivery fucking is shining the fucking high beams in their car. And I swear to fucking God, their balls dropped, and all I heard was, turn your fucking blinkers off! And they go flying out of the goddamn parking lot. And my 2 friends are standing there helping me with my food, and it's like, were those girls black? And we die laughing, walking back in. Because, they saw the picture of them as they were driving up, because sometimes on the applications, they have the picture of the person. 2 white girls, but they were from the hood. They fucked black men. Because all my shit was correct. I had extra Cajun sparkle, and I had 20 packets of hot sauce. And all the napkins. Now, the other story is worse. I ordered about maybe $20, $25, $30 of Taco Bell. Just simple Taco Bell. Because I didn't really give a shit, and I hated myself that day. This motherfucker first tried to call my cell phone, despite it giving proper delivery instructions, because they never follow delivery instructions. They don't. They just fucking don't. But tries to call my phone. I try to call him. Hey, is there something going wrong with my food? You seem to be taking a long time with it. Doesn't pick up any of the 3 times. Drops my fucking food order. So, have to get reinvestment for the money that was purchased. All credits refunded. Repurchase it again. Next person drops it because not them canceling it. That particular Taco Bell closed. Because inside of DoorDash, you don't get to pick which restaurant location you order from. It automatically picks one within your location area and automatically routes them to you. So if the store closes while it's trying to process your food because one location's opening time is different from another's, you're shit out of luck. And you have to re-register it again and take up your fucking problem with the help desk if it does not get resolved.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. If they do anything from the DoorDash help desk, they won't penalize the driver, but they will give you your credit. And then they'll give you an apology credit, which is the best you can fucking get. If your food never arrives, that's when you can get a full reimbursement plus like $10 of apology credit credited to your account, which kind of doesn't fucking matter because it doesn't go back into your card unless you choose that option, in which case you basically lose out on $10. So that's shitty, but first person drops it because, can't be bothered. Second person accidentally gets dropped because the store's closing. And they didn't have the food prepared because when the store gets the notice, they just try to prepare the shit. And if the shit gets left over, they have to either trash it or try to put it aside for another person's order. And ain't nobody trying to buy fucking $30 of Taco Bell close to fucking 10, 11 at night. So then I have to order it a third time. Try to get in contact with the driver. Driver doesn't properly pick up because he's searching around the areas. Guess where this bitch dropped my fucking Taco Bell off?
Where that one guy was?
Kansas.
No. He dropped my shit off on a random fucking bench in front of Building 100 in the fucking dark. He just left it there. And because DoorDash drivers have to take pictures of the order to complete and show where it is, it's like, dink! And he just drew the fuck off. Because he walked up to the person in Building 100 security desk, and the way that the system works is that they can talk to each other between buildings. And we happen to have Joe at the door that night. Joe, I don't know if Joe worked in fucking radio, but whenever he calls for you on the shit, he'll tell you, coming to the stage up front. Can I get so-and-so to the front door? You have an order. I repeat, so-and-so to the front door. You have an order.
He seems like one of those guys. Okay, yeah.
So I tell him, hey, this is on the way, but they fucked it up twice. So let me know when they get here. And he's like, okay, no problem, Carl. So I'm waiting in the break room because this is the only time I can check my shit. Because I told him, hey, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I can't fucking work if I haven't fucking ate. So you're going to have to fucking deal with it. My boss, because this is what is in the vault, not when I was on the embossing floor. My boss, he's like, okay, no problem. Because he wants to try and micromanage wherever you are at any point in time. Because he's like, well, we have cards in here. And it's like, it is a fucking Monday night. There are 7 of us. If you're telling me that I can't walk away for an hour and a half to eat when I am entitled to an hour fucking break, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Now I come to him and I tell him they have fucked up my shit 3 times and I'm still waiting to eat. He's like, okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. But then he starts getting irritated because he's like, if I complain, he's clearly gonna whoop my ass. But I'm gonna try to fucking work over him. Well, I understand, but Carl, you have to be more mindful of my time. And I'm like, can you go on the other side of the divider? Pull out my cell phone, show him the multiple charges. Oh, yeah, I'm not fucking joking. Now, can I go eat? Walk outside, waiting for hours, waiting. Once we figure out that he left my shit at the other building, I go to the girls, formerly known as the Cult of Carl. Three particular women who did not and could not believe that there was another human being who was interested in me because they thought I was gay. They just thought I was purely gay. So it's like, oh, Carl, clearly he's just depressive gay that can't find a man to suck his dick or to suck their dick. And they're like, oh, wait, actually there's a woman who's interested in you? God damn. Well, we gotta make sure that her life is really easy so that she can see her man. I go to them and I'm like, hey, my shit got left at Building 100. Can you go pick it up? And they're like, okay, Carl, no problem. I'm waiting there for like 20-ish minutes. But she's taking a little bit too long because, like, I told her to go do that so I could go grab my cell phone. But she immediately got in her car and she just fucking took off for the other building. So I end up meeting her halfway up the road and jump back into the car so we can fucking take the shit in there. Because I bought some of it to give to them because I was going to probably have to. I just wrote off in my mind, okay, this burrito is hers, this burrito is hers, this fucking gordita is hers. It's fine. Get my shit. The fucking drinks are fucking half melted because it was fucking 110 degrees outside. Food halfway squished. I don't know if it's because she grabbed it and put it in the car the way that she did, or if it's because it was fucking squished before it got there.
It's toss up, honestly.
Try to call the service. All I get is a fucking $10 credit. I talked to Joe about it because, like, Joe, Carl, I just called up to the other building. They said they left your food on the fucking bench. On the bench, Joe. The bench? The bench.
The bench?
Oh. And he gives me this look like, I have never heard such an offense. Carl, I swear to you on my life. On my mom. Because he's Italian. I swear to you on my mom. I'm gonna fucking get this guy. And he takes off to building 300. And the next thing I know, it's like, I got the dude's kegs. Do you want me to use them? I'm like, Joe, oh my god!
Wait, what?
Because we have security cameras everywhere. So it's so he's just like, he goes over to the building and it's like, listen, Adrian, what? They fucked up his food. Carl's food? Again? Who was it this time? It was Taco Bell. They lifted it building 100 on the bench. Who was working in 100? Who's working in 100 right now? Ben just checked out. This is Adrian. Did Ben know? What? Did Ben know? No. Alright, here's what we're gonna fucking do. We're gonna pull the fucking name. We're gonna pull this guy in, and the next time he comes in, we're gonna fuck him up. This man was running gang ups to secure our food. I could fuck with Joe. Him and his handlebar mustache. But that's it. That was pretty much my experience working inside this factory environment this time around.
You're free. You're a free man now.
I'm technically free. Now I'm free to suffer, and I'm free to starve.
Okay. One day at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was the insanity of this world. Believe me, it was a long game by the commies. God, I feel like Dale when I say that.
Come say,
anyway.
Come saw, come on my toes. Anyways.
That was a long-winded introduction, but I say it was worth it because Carl needs a vet. Boy, needed a vet.
Fucking Carl needs. I could listen. I could hear the stress leave your body as you did that song.
Yeah, believe me, I too.
Can hear it.
The fun part is when I start speaking in the present tense and I'm like, wait, no, this is past tense. That's fun.
It's when you start living in the moment that you realize, oh my god, this has actually affected me mentally.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things that have affected me mentally, but nothing has affected me mentally more than someone fucking up my food repeatedly. Trust me, when you're forced to wait to eat, something mentally happens to you.
No, Carl, you're preaching the choir on that specific situation. To put it simply, you, my brother and me are living examples of that exact concept.
Yeah, on the whole food situation, over here in the UK, we have quite a bit less consumer choice in terms of deliveries, delivery services. We have Uber Eats and Just Eat, and that's it. Uber Eats over here is ridiculously expensive because of the amount of VAT that gets put on it, and I would say so Just Eat is the only one that's really decent, but fucking trying to get any of the big chains delivered on Just Eat is a pain in the ass because they always get your order wrong, and then they won't actually offer you your money back. They'll just offer you credit on the next delivery.
Mm-hmm. It's always shit.
So I don't even bother with delivery. I go get myself, damn it, if I can. Otherwise, don't even bother. It's one of those things where it's seriously, I used to work at the old place I used to live. Okay, I don't know what the problem is, but Google Maps essentially made any delivery to that location foobar because the street I'm on was not the actual street I was living on, and so the GPS assumes that my address was actually over here on this street because that's what the street it's on. So because of Google Maps fucking it up, everyone goes to the wrong spot. So there were times people would be ordering delivery and they come to my door and I'm like, oh, actually they're probably down there. Yeah, it happens a lot. Or I'll order something and every single time, I was blown away that when I ordered something I think through Amazon, I'm like, wait a minute, it actually delivers to my spot correctly? I'll be damned. I don't live there anymore, but man, that was one of the worst stupid things about it. It was packages or delivering food, just forget it. It's not gonna work right. You know how many people I had direct because they put in their GPS and they end up people also who arrive counselors or therapists or whatever, and they're yeah, I know I've been here before, but I forgot, but I ended up in the wrong spot. I'm yeah, sounds about right.
It mentally causes you a little bit of pain. especially when you give actual directions. Because on my shit, I have proper fucking instructions. Because
I told him like actually on this street, like Pizza Hut eventually like got the memo and like, okay, yeah, we know this guy where he lives and we'll work around it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, it's why like at one point I just said, you know what, I'm not gonna order from like any actual delivery service because there were so many people who were coming to my spot thinking it was the other spot that I'm like, I know from experience that these people, like, it's going to be a different person every time and they always fuck it up. So I'm not even going to bother. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm not even going to bother using the apps because I'm just kind of just become, apathetical to it.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, a lot of it is just the rigmarole because when you order from the application, it just fucks it up a lot. When you get it from the direct stores, it somehow tends to work out better than you'd expect. But
that's a crap toss either way.
No matter what you do, it's always going to be a fucking shit toss. But it gets slightly easier the further and further on it goes. But
there really is no. There really is no excuse for me to not go to fucking the store and get it because I live in the middle of the city, so it's like 5 minutes to get anything.
Well, the pizza I always order from is literally like half a mile from where I live. Like I live like there was a few night one podcast. I'm sure I mentioned this briefly when we were gonna have the podcast, and Carl couldn't believe it. Like it was like a Thursday night, and there's like an entertainment area that's like finally like basically there's like a bar and like concert hall that's like half a mile from where I live, right in the plaza. Okay, and so like before I go to work at 4:00 or work at 4, and I'm hearing like this massive bass like out my window, and I'm like, is someone like blasting their car, like blaring their subwoofer absurd because we're around the college area? And then it dawned on me, no, this is from the concert. They're just warming up. Oh fuck, this is gonna be an absolute pain in the ass tonight. And I'm like, I remember like sitting down, like I'm so happy I have my headphones on because I won't be able to hear it. It'll literally drown it out mentally. Oh, thank fucking God we're doing the podcast tonight. Oh, so stupid.
No.
You live in the middle of nowhere. Or less of a city. It's a trade-off, I guess.
Now, now this is going to be a fucking weird segue, but this is one of the reasons I wanted to have both my editors here.
Okay.
I want y'all to explain to me what the fuck is going on with this conversation you guys were having about VTubers the other night.
Oh, this is news to me. I got to hear this one.
Right.
Yes, I was there. Right.
Yeah. So basically, I decided to just do a bit of whinging in the group chat about fucking anime, about AniTubers, and like mainly about how like they've openly admitted on the Trash Case podcast that like 2 of the 3 of them, which is like the Anime Man, CDog VA, and Giguk. CDog VA and the Anime Man both openly admitted that they don't really watch anime anymore, even though that's like the crux of their content. And I just started to have like a fucking whinge about like how like if it's the crux of your content, you should at least friggin' keep up to date with it. Like
they're like Neuralities, where she was complaining about how all isekai is bad based on the 4 she saw.
Yes.
Giving me stress.
Also, all these are pedos, but I love Shota, so don't judge me. No, we're gonna fucking judge you.
So I just got really whingy about like this particular like podcast, like where 2/3 of an anime podcast don't even watch anime anymore. Like I said, at least Giguk does his like, but at least puts in the effort to do his like quarterly. Do his quarterly anime reviews where
he at least like is treating it like he actually gives a fuck about the entertainment he makes. Like go ahead.
Like from my understanding, he watches like the first 2 or 3 episodes of each of like the animes from that season to make the video, and then the ones that he actually likes, he'll just watch the rest of. Which is more than fair enough, because I think that's how most people who keep up with season 1 anime like kind of pick which ones they like and which ones they don't. That like, because let's face it, seasonal anime all comes out pretty much the same time. So, like,
Mm-hmm. And like it's to be quite honest, it does all open up. We were talking a lot more about the AniTuber scene, but honestly, there's just this. I mean, to be honest, it kind of reminds me of what the thing you were describing with the anime reviewers that don't actually watch anime. It reminds me to a certain extent of why Necro13 is the thing. I love that man. He does the Lord's work. In fact, apparently Mother's Basement, or as I like to call him, Discount Spoonie, is terrified of the fact that this small channel is going to be making a video bashing him. I mean, am I crazy, Carl? Does he sound like Spoonie to you?
well,
Mother's Basement?
Well, the way he treats his audience is.
Well, yeah, but his voice. I was more specifically for. I mean, yeah, he does. He's that is a given. I'm just saying I found it amusing that his voice is basically Spoonie. I can never unhear it.
Mother's Basement does sound like he could be a bard.
Yeah, fair enough. To be honest, it's kind of like how Chris Raygun. He's like, well, gee, why is the
answer your question? Yes, I was in the kitchen, Justin.
Okay, cool. Chris Raygun's like, well, gee, why is Grand Theft Auto, the game that meant to be really racy and crazy, why is art censoring itself now? And to the point where it doesn't actually make sense when you think about what they were made. I'm like, I literally replied in his comments, and also obviously replied to him like on Twitter. I'm like, yes, how strange. Local man is confused why people are censoring their art. I mean, to be fair, you did remove your musicals, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have a lot to say about Chris Raygun, but I won't.
We could talk all night about that. Let's do it.
Fucking, I'm sorry, but I lost all respect for him when basically he like moving away from talking about politics. That's fine, but then immediately like pivoting to saying caring about stuff is dumb. Like, caring about politics is dumb. It just made me think, well, you built your entire audience on caring about politics. And you're still friends with people like Shu and that. Well, the only people he's still friends with are people who transitioned into being leftist. But
or transitioned to being onto a podcast, which is essentially, I'm be honest, with this whole thing with, I'm sure you guys saw it, with Gus, the whole thing with Gus. Did you guys see that this week?
Who's Gus?
Gus Buckets, the guy who made the Every Cat at 3 a.m.
No, I'm not familiar, but carry on.
Well, let's just say that he has a podcast he puts on with Eddie Burbank. He's friends with Eddie Burbank. He's friends with.
Oh, you mean Gus Johnson?
Yes, I'm sorry. Last name completely. Yeah, did you hear? Did any of you guys hear about that?
Yes, no, I remember that video you're talking about. The cats were running around, and it was a commercial for cat food.
Oh, it was Every Cat at 3 a.m. It's like, Helen, I got to do this, and he jumps all around, and then he jumps over and like looks at the camera and screams.
I've actually got a meme from Gus from Gus Johnson that I might not be able to show it on stream, but I'll put it in the chat anyway because it's like. It's one of my favorite little clips that I've collected over the years. Fucking.
Oh yeah. Like his comedy's good, but like it's funny when his girlfriend blocked me over some innocuous Twitter political disagreement. That was when I felt like I'm like, these people are on borrowed time, because they're like at that point I'm like, okay, you got Eddie Burbank. All these people are connected, like in a similar friends group with like Chris Raygun and Todd Sweeney, or whatever his name is, and like there's gonna come a point where something's gonna happen, and like when the situation was essentially that, his girlfriend was pregnant, he knocked her up and was like, would you want to mind getting an abortion? And she's like, I don't know if I want. Well, you probably should get an abortion. It look really bad at me. And then like apparently, while she's having a rhinoplasm, or basically to get her ovarian tube out, because she had a tube based, what's I don't know the correct term, pregnancy of the egg. What?
IUD.
Yeah. Well, she's going through surgery on that. Do you know? Because people figured this out because they lined up the timeline of her video and his video. They were like, "Oh, his whole she's bet in tears at surgery, saying my boyfriend's somewhere else, but he has this thing doing and he can't be here." And all of a sudden it cuts over to him, and he's like on stream opening Pokemon cards and saying, "Oh yeah, she's doing great. She's got done with surgery. She's doing great." And apparently already Eddie Burbank has basically done the boilerplate. Yeah, I'm throwing Chris Reagan. I'm throwing Gus Johnson under the bus for this. Don't come looking in my closet. And I'm just sitting here like, okay. The fact it wasn't just like, I guess Bo Blacks did a video on it, and I retweeted his video, and I think he liked it or something. Anyway, I'm just like.
Yeah, so basically the California YouTube creator circle is imploding in on itself.
Well, it was a perfect storm. There's gonna come more shoes drop. I'm gonna argue. This is just one of the cracks forming. I mean, it was already like ready to happen. I mean, I'm sure at least Carl remembers this. There's an old friend there's a mutual friend of most of us. I think her name's Smokey Artist or something. I can't remember the exact handle.
Smokey Insomnia.
But like, she's friends with Chris, okay? And she like posts like, "Oh, how dare Chris getting canceled because he doesn't like possums, because she loves possums." And I'm like, and I reply quite very, very bluntly and matter of factly. I'm like, "Oh, see, this is," and here I thought Chris would get canceled for his shit political takes. Shit, Dan, whatever. And then I put that down. I turn off my computer, reboot because I have to install Linux, and I go to work. So like, I post that around 10, 11 in the morning. It's 4 o'clock. I'm waiting for the kids to leave the school I work at. And I look at my phone, and she, like, an hour before that was, like, unloading around in me. Basically, like, how dare, you think it's like, notice me, senpai, notice me. You need to go outside and touch grass. What happens when you don't do that? And I'm just like, it's not just funny that you said that. It's not just funny that you spent all this time yelling at me while I'm away. It's that you told me to touch grass, like, and I haven't been on Twitter for, like, 5 hours. Like, the fact that she got so defensive, and then to the point where 24 hours later, Chris did half-assedly reply. And I'm just sitting here like, there's gonna come a moment where this all comes crashing down.
Yeah, because basically it's over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just law of averages. They're gonna signal their virtue so much that one person signaling their virtue will eventually come directly into conflict with someone else signaling their virtue within the same circle,
mm-hmm.
or they'll come directly into conflict with reality, which is what happened with Eddie Burbank. Was it his girlfriend that was pregnant?
No, it was Gus Johnson.
Yeah, Gus Johnson's. Yeah, it was basically Gus Johnson's girlfriend. Like that, his virtue signaling came directly into conflict with reality. When it turns out he's a scumbag who can't take responsibility.
Well, it's not just that. I think the other problem, the thing I'm looking at, I'm staring down the barrel of here, is, and this is why I bring up Chris specifically about it, is he's the perfect example. Like, him and Shu on Head are like the two. Shu less much. I think she's stuck in that sphere whether she wants to or not. And like, I jokingly said to a friend of mine last year, I'm like, my coworker, when I was talking about it at work, I'm like, you know, you got to be honest. Your year could be going bad, but it could be worse. It could be Shu on Heads. You know, she spends all this time essentially, whoring out for Bernie, and then Bernie loses, and she has to bite that bullet. Then the lockdown happens, and her fiance breaks it off on her 29th birthday, which makes an old tweet she made of hers regarding him not dating someone over the age of 30. Really damn amusing in hindsight. But do
you know what's worse though? Is that fucking Greg's doing great now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's lost a load of weight. He's dating a total, like, someone who I think she is over 30, but she's really fucking fit.
It's the funniest shit. And like, Chris is no different, because he made that video last year. Remember, you know, the one where if you put in autocomplete, say I'm running for president because, and let autocomplete finish it, you basically get a Joe Biden quote. And now he he says something to the effect of, and this is the tweet that really got me having fun heckling the bastard. He said basically, I voted for a president that I could eventually bully into doing whatever I want. And I'm just sitting here like, so you literally took marching orders from Vosh. Because that's literally what Vosh said. He's like there's a meme that literally has him saying, see, once we get the president in, or Biden in, we can bully him into doing whatever we want. Yeah, let's do that. And then like cuts to like a year later, and he's bombing, Iraqis with a rainbow colored drone. Okay, well actually, you see, guys, and I'm just like, the different. It's I think specifically. I'm.
This is the difference I believe exists between someone like Hassan Piker and like Vorsh is just a retard.
Yeah,
but he's a retard who genuinely believes his own bollocks.
Well, there's that quote of him saying, "I don't want to." Okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I took a minute to click on my website now.
He genuinely believes his own bollocks. Hassan Piker, he's he basically he's the internet equivalent of CNN and Fox News, and that is infotainment. He's political infotainment.
Considering he's the nephew of Cenk Uygur, it's not surprising how he got that idea that would be a success.
Yeah, he's political infotainment, and he doesn't believe a word that he's saying.
Oh, that's clear.
He doesn't believe a word that he's saying, and what really annoys me is that in doing that, he has become a tool of the establishment. In the fact that like. He just like his revealed preference is just towing the establishment line all the time, and it really pisses me off because like for those of you who don't know, my channel is more overtly political, less culture critic, more political ideology and theory and whatnot. So like seeing someone who claims to be a dissident of any kind, be they left wing or right wing, claim to be a dissident but is in fact like a tool of the establishment, and then ends up being like saying stuff like his coverage of the Carl Rittenhouse case, which even Destiny took like serious issue with.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, like seeing Hassan's like coverage of the Carl Rittenhouse case, like these are people who are promoting antisocial, like pretty much promoting antisocial personality as the correct mode of conduct, and that could not be healthy for anyone watching. Like they're promoting people to be just like heartless, like fucking and
that way they're no different than the actual mainstream media.
Yeah, they're basically telling people that how you should treat someone should be based solely on the ideology that they follow.
And that kind of makes me. You do political stuff. I don't want to do a random transition, but there is something I discovered recently this week, and I'm curious what you guys think, or maybe it could be an interesting discussion topic. I was watching. I was actually sent this way via I think Lotus Eaters brought it up in their video recently. They were talking about this video by I believe his name's Tick. I'm sure you know the video I'm talking about. It's the one that talks about capitalism, Hitler. And how people Hitler was a capitalist. No, he's not. He was, in fact, he viewed apparently like what?
Is this the video where Tick makes the argument that Nazi Germany's economy was socialist in nature based on the definitions of capitalism and socialism?
Yes. Well, that might be public versus private. He was more or less rebutting the arguments people make in regards to this, and say, well, actually, it was this. No, actually, no, it's not. And there was like a bunch of weird chuckles I got throughout the video, mainly because I was staring the ideology in the face and the irony of it. Because they say, oh, well, what critical race theory is a application of Marxist, applying the concept of Marxism to race. Okay?
Yeah, basically, to give a bit of history to that, critical race theory is a offshoot of critical legal theory, which is itself an offshoot of critical theory, which does come from Marxism. Yes.
Okay. Because the reason I bring it up is when he was describing basically what Hitler believed in an effort to explain how he was different, but yet he was far more of a the argument that he was a capitalist was more or less absurd, and he was explaining that. One of the things he kept bringing up was one thing, for example, was how he thought that the Marxist was apparently part of a massive conspiracy. He was the original, Carl, fucking character from. Never mind.
Wait,
Point being,
Marx?
No, I was thinking of a Cartman. Sorry, Cartman is the word I meant.
Cartman's
Point
last
being,
name is Marx?
Cartman from South Park is what I meant. I'm going on a long ramble here, so I'm trying to bring it back in. I apologize. What I'm getting at was just that the fact I found it funny that a lot of things he was talking about, and then a lot of the stuff he said about the Nazi and what they believed in were eerily similar to what critical race theorists believe, or things he was arguing. Like say this is the case. Well, what you can't blame every person for this reason. And I'm like, so basically, they came to the same conclusions, or are using the same vector as Hitler did. Only they're Marxists. I find that too amusing not to ignore, to ignore, or not laugh at, I guess, or exploit in memes format, I guess. I'm rambling. I apologize. I was trying to make that make sense, and I have ADHD and whatnot.
I'm still trying to figure out how we got here from anime VTubers.
True.
Everything always goes back to Hitler.
Well, that is what is it? Cool. that one law of the internet.
Shit. So, fuck. Try and steer us back in the correct direction.
Yeah,
try to fucking scroll back up to what was on the 11th. So, on the 11th,
Armistice Day,
you were watching Trash Taste, and it validated why you didn't like big anime YouTubers. So you were talking about Giggle and the Anime Man and Sea-Dog openly admitting to not watching anime, which I find interesting and also hilarious, considering the fact that, do we even want to begin to break down the stupidity that is High Guardian Spice?
We'll have to cover it eventually.
High Guardian Spice, the show's so bad that not even pirates want it.
I mean, the fact that, what is it, a few years ago, didn't the Motion Picture Association of America try suing or, shaking down money from Nya, saying, oh, we're speaking for our IP holders, and it turns out it was all anime, so my conclusion for that when Raging Gold Leader brought it up was, even back then, their shit was so bad no one wanted to pirate it, so they had to, shake down their license stuff. Yeah, anyway.
Well, here's the thing. It's freaking... It also, killed any last vestiges of the argument that, that Crunchyroll helps the industry, guys. Our money gets fed back into the industry. Does it fuck?
For years, that's been a lie. We have interviews from we have so many interviews from so many fucking mangaka heads, so many licensing factories, people like Tokusatsu, which Tokusatsu's not off the fucking hook, because they're the only few distributors we actually get to have things like Sentai brought over, or fucking Ryukenja, or fucking goddamn Bandai Tomoko Fire and normal Tomoko Rescue to actually come through the States through official translations, if you're not lucky enough to find the one person who had the original tapes for anything that was produced by Saban that didn't have Power Rangers on its label. So many of them.
Shout Factory did that.
Well, most of them between Tokusatsu, and it's always the ones that were actors with the projects. So, Jason Narvi, for example, he was doing a lot of the blurbs, because a lot of the shit that usually comes out is Ultraman. For years, we've been trying to get proper sources for Sentai, for Kamen Rider, for everything that's not the gateway animes, so things like Garo, and we have just not been able to do it because either they can't find the licensing rights, or for all the reasons that it sucks, Heinz Bond fucking everybody else over, and ultimately the Wang brothers getting fucked over because of region lock, making it difficult to even get box sets for Kamen Rider Dragon Knight.
I mean, to be honest, you want to talk about Saban fucking things over. I mean, how long did it take for us to finally get the company Discotech Media to make DVDs of Samurai Pizza Cats. I remember being a kid, wanting a DVD, never finding it, literally finding a bootleg one in a secondhand store. And I looked it up online. It was in fact ripped from fan rips.
I mean, I can attest to this, at least with Big Bad Beetle Works. I cannot find a single fucking website that still has online piracy hosts at all. And even when I was trying to stream them last year at the beginning of the COOF, their piracy rights and enforcement is so bad when it comes to just YouTube viewing things that you can't even have a proper watch party. Because Toei will claim Saban Brand's content as their own.
Oh, that sounds about right.
He had to buy a DVD just for us to be able to watch it properly, and we never got finished fucking watching anything, because then life got really hard. But all of anime has the exact same problem. Yes. And part of it is a dual issue. One of it is because they're hyper aware of this, because, well, really you have to blame Team 4-Star. Technically you have to blame any fan dubber, but it's mostly Team 4-Star. Yeah. Team 4-Star constantly trying to beat the censors and use fair use to justify, which is legal in their case, but is just going to make it harder. It's going to make it legal in their case, but makes it harder for people to do shit, is because you're going after one of the big three, and the big three, in general, are really, really piracy resistant when it comes to rights and people taking advantage of those rights, because they don't give a shit. They're even in their mind, as they have the understanding of the concept of comic dubs and shit like that, they do them in live events. Like, you come see the actors on stage, you talk to the seinen and the seinen. They're doing it in live events, where they are live reading either the dubbing for what they want to do, or they're doing straight stage shows. They have an entire process, and the West does not respect that process, because everything's on demand here. So we can't get anything how we want it. So that's the first problem. The second problem is just the nature of how people treat anime now. And Rowdies is probably the best case example of that. How are we supposed to have people care about what happens in a season if the only things that are being watched in a season is recency bias? I don't care for Fire Force. I didn't care for fucking Fairy Tail. I don't necessarily care for Boku no Hero, but I was paying attention to My Hero Academia when people started searching about it again because of those scans that came out about Deku's form before the latest arc season released, and people were fucking losing their minds because it's always getting overshared on TikTok of all places. But the majority of people are actually talking about animes they like, and it's not just, I don't like that anime, I don't like that anime, I don't like that anime, I don't like that anime. The amount of problematic, the amount of, well, it's iffy, it's icky, or just the plain old, it has ecchi in it. That means it's bad. I would like it if the people who chose to talk about anime could be more like Sid Snap. Because as much as I know you mentioned that it's just people didn't like it because she's a degenerate, I would prefer if the people making anime content were just open about the degeneracy. I would prefer it. I would prefer it. And I prefer it with both her and Giguk, because at least they are one of the few two that haven't completely shat the bed when it comes to their actual public-facing personas, if they choose to claim to have them now. I don't remember...
That's a crapshoot right there.
I don't remember a time where it's happened with Sid Snap, but I do know that it's kind of been back and forth. Because now, the state of anime pretty much is everybody's become a woke scold, with the exception of Hirohei, but even then, Hirohei is still one of those nexus points where it's like, is it that we're having fun because we're watching anime and Hirohei's the guy presenting it to us? Or is it more that Hirohei and his identity is kind of peaked into becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, especially with him being able to interview Project Melody? And then all the bigger issues of anime VTubers glomming on to the anime aesthetic for their avatars. Which then
that was the other thing we talked about.
Which then bleeds into the other problem, where I'm just staring. I was just sitting here in the chat and just listening to you guys go off. But to read what was said, British Knight has a particular hatred of Joey, and I agree with him. However, you lost me as soon as you started talking about VSojo. So please explain to me everything about VTubers, please.
By all means, I'll be quiet.
Right, okay, let's... because I got into VTubers through HoloLive, so basically I became quite distinctly aware of the differences between the corporate Japanese scene and the indie Western scene rather quickly, and what has now become the corporate Western scene ever since VShojo became a thing. Right, so let me just go through the conversation we had, and then I'll pick up point by point. Right, so
I will note, Gundam is not a VTuber, and he probably doesn't do it very much because, well, it is too much work. But I'm honestly kind of happy of that. The Western Front, he saw it coming, or rather, I had this. Anyway, personally, I made his model. I'll just say that much and leave it be because I don't want to.
I can help. Let me just fill him because I know what he's trying to say there. So, like, the thing that led to him blowing up was Charza working on the model that he ended up using in his art. But realistically, right now, he's kind of going through a transformative period where he's able to get away from all the other commentary channels talking about drama that happens on the internet because he started talking about Twitch shit. And this then incites the anger of e-girls. So who then get angry and come to try and antagonize you. But if they can't personally make fun of you, like if they can't pull up a picture or clip a video of what you look like and lie about what you feel and think and believe, which has happened to me plenty of times, when they have to go off of just the VTuber model, it makes them extremely more upset, which is what happened with the bullshit concerning Amain getting angry at him. But now he's not necessarily even using the VTuber avatar. It's more like it inspired art for him to now have on screen in place of his original avatar, which was just a V for Vendetta face. So it's created a renaissance in his career that has brought in more people because of the fact it's like, ooh, easily accessible shit, Gundams, sketches. And it's...
By the way, merchandise is coming. I just received my shirt of Stew. I'll have to show that on Twitter soon.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what you were saying about VShojo. I'm sorry.
Right. I said so. We were talking about Aki, and then we got into about like how Sidsat was, how it's kind of hypocritical that she's kind of a Puritan when like she's friends with Sidsat through Joey and Giguk, who is via her own both her and her own brand are like open degenerates.
Yeah,
and I was like,
she became very pearl clutchy as of late.
Yeah, and I said. And you said always made her moral aggrandizing as transparent as glass. And I said it's also why I don't watch VShojo VTubers because despite their whole brand as being wholesome lewd e-girls, their most lewd creator has sanitized herself to shit so she can take her audience to Twitch. And he says, and you said, yeah, the wolf girl comes off as an entitled prick too. I wasn't sure who you were talking about, and so we eventually realized you were talking about Silvervale, who's also in VShojo. I said, yeah, she lost her shit on stream because people were wondering when she was going to collab with other VShojo VTubers, because apparently she hadn't in quite a long time. Like she went off because her fans requested she interact with her fellows in a streaming company. Kind of tells me VShojo is literally just a legal and financial thing. Very little creative overlap like in Hololive and Niji Sanji. And that was like the first big point that we made. It's the fact that VShojo... It's meant to be like it's meant to be like a Western equivalent of Hololive, but in practice, it's really nothing like it at all.
If anything, her saying that was more or less just confirming that very fact.
Yeah,
as it would be a no-brainer otherwise.
Yeah, it's Amazon trying to capitalize on Project Melody. That's really all it is. Because if you didn't know, VShojo is run by Amazon.
That is a new information for me, but it's not surprising. Anything but actually.
What?
Yeah, VShojo is Amazon.
Oh no!
Now opens a whole new can of worms, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, the company, the Forest, or
yes,
Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their fingers in a lot of pies. I didn't know they had their finger in that pie.
Wow.
Yeah, but pretty much the top rungs of Western VTuberdom is run by Amazon.
That explains.
The game was rigged from the start.
That explains so much.
It does.
Basically, they ate up all of the top female Western indie VTubers and put them in a single team. And now they control it all.
Not unlike K-pop.
Yeah. K-pop? More like K-poop?
Yeah, and they got like, and it's weird now because now their brand is just like fake, wholesome, like lewd e-girl VTubers, and that's
Does
all.
Melody even do adult shows now?
From what I've seen, it's becoming less and less common over time.
Oh
And in
my
fact,
god!
And her main, she doesn't even use her original like 3D
Yeah,
model
yeah,
anymore.
I've noticed that definitely.
She uses a much more sanitized, like much more like covered up 2D model.
Personally, that was a red flag for me. So when you said she doesn't do it anymore, I'm like, yeah, that explains it. That was where it's confirmation.
I can't remember the last time I saw her advertise Chatterbait. I'm pretty sure she's almost entirely Twitch now.
Part of that is something that pretty much any person who actually keeps up with Devin Nash understands. I explained this in one of my TikToks, but basically, there are 3 payment services, and there's only specifically exclusively one that works with anything that has to do with adult material.
Yeah.
And it is very high in chargebacks because, oh my god, what is this on my credit card?
That was a great video from him, by the way.
Where did this come from? Oh, honey, I'll take care of this right now. It's less inconvenient to have a charge from Twitch Interactive than it is to have a charge from any other skeevious thing, because they all have to use shit like Stripe. And actually, I can just let me just take the time to open up my fucking Subscribe Star, and I can actually just list off the payment processors that work.
Yeah, Subscribe Star. Well, actually, Subscribe Star uses adult methods, don't they?
Well, see, they'll use a lot of methods because this is all about how they pay things out, not about how they actually get people to work on shit. So right now, they redacted some of the other ones they used to have because they used to have a direct method for your PayPal. But now it goes US banking, non-US banking, Skrill, Furwise, and Payxium. And all of those have to go through methods of things like Stripe. And of that shit that you have, if it's not directly linked to a bank, it does not fucking work. You will notice this is the same problem with a lot of things like, say, not just Subscribe Star and not just Patreon, because everybody should know the rigmarole of Patreon, the fall of the Sargon of the Akkad, but more specifically just working with PayPal in general and all of their restrictive-ass methods. All of that is because of people like VTubers, because technically the VTuber is not the VTuber. The VTuber is an actor that's part of a group. In the case of Melody, this is the case. She is the actress who is doing the body rigging. She's not the person who's responsible for the company and the team that supplies the product, which at this point now would basically be paying money to Amazon. But it wouldn't be that fucked up. But this is the problem with corporate culture. They don't want to be associated with anything that will fuck up their branding, because that does not follow the holistic branding spirit. Which is the same reason why you had that entire fucking screed that came from all of the, as they call themselves, accountants of TikTok and accountants of fucking of OnlyFans, complaining, saying we're going to lose our livelihoods, because all of their money is made off of the idea of a website that branded itself on the potential of basically being the biggest fucking Ponzi scheme and multi-level marketing scam in existence, second only to streaming, because of the fact that it's, well, if you come here and you do this, then the people give you money. Because look, this girl made money, this girl made money, this girl made money, this guy made money.
Bitcoin is the only thing, or crypto is the only thing coming close to potentially unseating either of those two things, to be fair. NFTs, you've got about NFTs. You know what I mean. I meant, that was concluded.
Well, here's the thing. Like, with streaming, it like, the meta is kind of known now. If you're an attractive female, you'll do well regardless. Mm-hmm. If you're male, you either have to be good at the game or you have to be incredibly entertaining, preferably both. And you basically have to put, like, before you'll even get an audience that will pay you anything, even considered passive income, you have to do it like 5 to 7 days a week, preferably 7, for like at least 4 hours a day for about a year with no breaks.
I mean, to be fair, my animations, I don't make any money still.
The shitty part about this is that there's a secret hidden part of that, and that's something that I've been basically abusing for the few last months as I've made the transition from doing what I've been doing for work to now just streaming every day and doing videos and creating shit every day like I used to. And that's that you have to create drama and then ride that drama into bigger and better situations. So cause drama, Whether it be because you're actually defending yourself, like the other day with the guy losing his fucking mind, who cannot understand the gamer dad, that guy I'm describing, the guy who cannot understand the reason why people still be pushing back on the concept of, well, see, you just care about games because you want to be able to hold something over because it's the only achievement you'll have. Or, in the case of Miss $5 herself, coming out of fucking nowhere with the worst take about Rittenhouse that anybody's seen this week. All of those things are used to keep people in the news cycle so they can get money. This was very much the case with almost all the people in general who've been cashing out, especially when it came to Twitch money being leaked. Because the biggest person who threw the biggest fucking fit so far has been Hassan, and then followed after that Vosh, and then everybody fucking else. Because what reason do you have to care about anything if all the people who you are being told to follow are people who have no fucking relation to what you do? Which is also the same problem with VTubers, right? And it's the same issue with fucking anime YouTubers, but
yes,
it all flows in the same source, which is, I don't know who this is, I don't know who you are, please show me Guaragira, and that's it. Because outside of, like, the shark, I don't know VTubers in general. But I do know of people like myself and Dimitri, but how many people actually hear or watch or listen to these people, but they are fervently aware of the drama created around them? And that's kind of part of the problem, which I wish would have a solution, but it kind of doesn't.
Well, see, the thing is about HoloLive is that they seem to have quite a HoloLive is a business, and it seems to have quite a good culture surrounding it. Better than one might expect from an idol company, because that's ultimately what Covercore is.
That is essentially what it's funny you brought up K-pop earlier, because that's a very good comparison.
Well, it's the exact same methods. It's the exact same business structure. Mm-hmm. Get everybody under the same brand, and then basically, whenever there's one person who's holding the limelight, you just move the numbers around to the next person. It's an artificial method that keeps the business alive only by moving the same, let's use a fake number, like 10,000. You have 10,000 users that could be watching any one person who's a part of the same stable at any one time. When that person goes offline, they move their viewers to the next viewer by either hosting them, rating them, or whatever. Then that next 10,000 gets shuffled around to the next person, and the next person, and the next person. You're not creating multiple audiences of 10,000 people that's watching at any one time. It's just that if their personal favorite isn't on, they'll go watch somebody else of their personal favorite. But the problem with the streaming meta is that you have all these people who are streaming at any one time, playing any one video game. And I'm not talking about the other ones. I'm talking about a little bit lower than that. So, in that regard, people like, not necessarily Germa or Pay Money Wubby, but people like, say, I'm trying to remember his name. The girl, the one that got fucked over by Caterino.
Coco?
What?
No, I got Coco. I'm thinking of VTuber.
No, other dude. The one that people were bitching out because of 1917.
You lost me, so I don't know. Sorry.
It's the dude with the fucked up face who's in all the memes where he's crying because Caterino was cheating on him with 7 guys.
Oh, Colin Carson.
Yes, people like Carmi Carson, those several number 1,000 Andys. Guys like that, people know about them only because of situations that happen to them, not because they actually watch their streams. And unfortunately, the way that Twitch works, there is no discoverability. The discoverability is the drama, basically. That's the problem. You have to have other shit to bring people in. And
well, it's like, often streaming seems like you'll find that a lot of the bigger streamers, streaming was not how they became big. Streaming's a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like Offline TV, who are like the streaming group that like
it's a streaming group that's associated with people like Pokemon and Asmongold.
Yeah, not Asmon. Is Asmongold part of Offline TV?
Yep. Him, wow. Pink Sparkles, her, and somebody else, and a couple of other people too. Yeah,
basically, in Offline, Michael Reeves joined Offline TV, and he became part of Offline TV. Basically, like they are primarily a streaming group, but like Michael Reeves was exclusively YouTube for the longest time, but he does a lot of streaming now, and he gets thousands of views on his streams, but not because he's a streamer. Because he's like a 1 million subscriber big YouTuber, who just who's joined this streaming group, started streaming occasionally, just doing random shit, and he gets a big audience because people know him from other shit. It's a side hustle.
Yes, this is the concept that's called the bottom and top of the funnel. Twitch is actually bottom of the funnel. Top of the funnel will be something like YouTube. So me doing the podcasts, me doing all the videos I've been producing, and just last night, all the cringe that I just watched. When I re-upload that to my YouTube, and then I feature that if people want to watch more, they can go watch live here at this channel. It draws in other people. And the way that it goes is basically you have this person who either, because they are one of the fake fucking pod people that have been paid a contract to make shit on YouTube, or they're one of the people who started out original, but then over time have become like Chris Raygun. They can start doing whatever the fuck they want to on the side, and it will always be evergreen, because you still have that level of people who will come specifically to watch them, but may not necessarily actually subscribe to their opinions and ideas, and just want to see whatever popular thing is happening. It can be for the detriment and benefit of a group, but it really depends on situations. But more often than not, what you usually find out is that the same people who usually find themselves in the middle of drama, like say Engage, that user that was attacking one of our past hosts, Miss Bananas TV, over on Twitch. That person, I've actually seen the shit that they post on TikTok. All they do is fucking repost shit about Apex Legends, and whenever possible, talk shit about people that she's harassed on Twitter. When I cut a video about that shit, people were aware of it and then came to the stream to talk to me about it, because it's like, wow, I saw this shit on TikTok. I didn't know. And because of what I've been covering recently with White Vember's a really great case, for example. All the people who have been harassing my account, and a lot of the people who have been stalking my streams, have been people who have been trying to delete and get my TikTok account deleted. So they will see this shit, and then they'll follow your links to go to where you are, and then they will do everything possible to try to fuck you over.
It's
very, very common. It's very, very common.
Well, actually, that somewhat common actually happened to me this week. Because I tweeted out Doomcock's latest video. He was talking about how Disney was, or rather, it seems that things are starting to close in, and Kathleen Kennedy's a steward if she gets her contract renewed at all. And I could tell, or rather, I saw that, and I was waiting for it mainly because I'm like, I saw the Rogue One was canceled. No, not Rogue One. Rogue Squadron was canceled, and I basically was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for the video now because Doomcock's a coming." And so when he made the video, I posted it saying, "Well, Doomcock was right," and immediately his detractors not only started dogpiling in the replies, but one of them actually started going through my retweets and replying to all these things, butthurt as all heck, including Venom Ranch's tweet on Cowboy Bebop. And now literally I'm just sitting here, I'm occasionally like replying to tweets saying how Cowboy Bebop is failing by critics, and I keep posting his, oh, it's gonna be great, just to rub it in a little bit. That's sometimes how you have to do it. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's like you say, the meta is kind of weird. It's like, for example, the one VTuber that Carl said that he knew about, Guagura, she's like the biggest one from HoloLive's EN branch. She used to be a YouTuber by the name of Senzawa. And she basically she started VTubing under a different model, like under her YouTube persona, Zenzawa, like basically as a way of like making money and like not being so lonely, because apparently she was quite lonely at the time.
Did you guys see the green text involving when they found out who she was?
Yeah, apparently she joined apparently she's much happier now that she's joined HoloLive, which kind of tells me that it's like it kind of tells me that the quality of life for working for all the faults of like idol culture, like working for like the structure of like a Japanese idol corporation is probably preferable to being an indie VTuber and trying to work your way up.
I can definitely see see that myself. Yeah, I would argue. I would agree. Sorry, didn't have a bigger point to put on that, but I think you're right. I think like it's why, for example, like I have ambitions in my animation, but I am such an ADHD obsessed freak that I never get to any of it. And it's been a challenge, you know?
You could not pay me enough to try and work in this fucking corrupt ass industry of animation.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, is it's a passion of mine, but I literally said, like, I saw the writing on the wall and knew this shit wasn't sustainable. I mean, even Vizzypop, I mean, she is... Do we want to talk about that sometime tonight? Because I will say, the whole thing with... I watched their bit of their live stream about Hell the Boss, and I was so tempted, even though it was Hell the Boss, to respond with like in the comments saying acknowledge Stamper, because she blocked my ass, Vizzypop, for asking, hey, so are you going to, if you let him go, just say it. Don't harvest his fan base and then do a bait and switch when he inevitably isn't on the show.
Can you explain what you mean by acknowledge Stamper?
Okay, so friend of the channel, you probably know him. I know him, and he's been okay with talking about this publicly. Evan, real Evan Duthin on Twitter. He actually like, we became friends after talking about some of this. He asked me, he's like, "Oh, so you're a fan of Has-Been Hotel, right?" Because apparently, Stamper, who is a YouTuber who plays a character in the pilot, he's not been called back. Because in case you didn't know, like, fucking Evan knows everyone. It's quite a, he knows a lot of people, and I've met a lot of people through him. But apparently, Stamper obviously is one of the old Newgrounds guard of animators. He, alongside a lot of others, were actually tapped for the pilot. For example, the mess of a person formerly known as Unica Joe, he was playing the henchman of his character in the pilot. Well, apparently, as I've been discovering, he wasn't called back for anything beyond the pilot. So that's like one thing. But apparently, he never even got in touch with her. Like, the person, apparently, I don't know the whole details of it, but they were like, a lot of people apparently were hired like the agents or something. I don't like. Regardless, like, he wasn't brought into the voices. It was more like someone contacted him for it, for the pilot at the very least. So she was hiring a lot of like Newgrounds era voices. In fact, a voice cameo in the Has-Been Hotel pilot is creator of Billy and Mandy. His name Maxwell Adams. He has two separate voice cameos in the pilot for Has-Been Hotel, for example. But he was not called back. He has not heard a ding thing from Vivi ever since the pilot came out. In fact, the parent said he was never really contacted directly about any of it. So I eventually just said, you know what, I'm getting really sick of her, and I know she's gonna block me for bringing this up, but I need to make the point known, because I'm like, this was about when the everyone was canceling the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, and then she was like, haha, they're getting canceled, she's getting canceled, he's getting doxxed, and then she gets doxxed. And I'm like, so are you gonna just come out and say that Stamper is no longer part of the show? Because it seems like a dick move to, as you were saying, you know, weaponize, you know, like, she was all upset, like, how, you know, he shouldn't be in the industry at all, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. And I'm like, well, so are you going to, you know, just say, yeah, we don't have Stamper on the show anymore because of whatever problematic thing he's done in the past, instead of basically taking the blood money of his terrible fan base, as I would argue you'd say. And so, yeah, she blocked me eventually, but she was, for the longest time, was very good at, for lack of a better term, keeping her political opinions very muted on Twitter. Like, she was one of the few people who, like, she knew that Scott Cathorn, she knew that, like, her like she was providing an alternative to the mainstream animation. So for the longest time, she kept her opinions to herself, or at the very least kept them very muted, rather than engage in it. But like ever since a certain time frame, like she's just kind of gone full mask off and doesn't give a rat's ass anymore. Yeah, he was Mariner. You are correct. That was the thing that like her fan base was, or her stands were essentially arguing with me. Well, he did coke and said all this terrible shit. I'm like, okay, well then, my whole argument to her and the people who were trying to say, well, yeah, I should be on there. Okay, then say it. Admit he's. I don't even. I know he's no longer on the show. You know he's no longer on the show. Just say it. Don't bait the fan base along thinking it's not going to happen. Because it's like Last of Us Part 2. Are you going to come out and say, yeah, he's no longer on the show, or I know he's on the show. You know he's on the show. But are you going to take the money of the people who are going on there expecting him and then finding out he's been recast? That was my issue, and what I kept poking her about. Eventually, just blocked me. But that's what I'm saying, is that she's no much better than the other people. And I always viewed her more of a. I viewed her contributions as a. I don't know how to describe it. A positive change in the industry, but she's not much better.
No.
I guess that's what I'm...
No. So I can tell you 3 things for certain. Number 1, because I'm a voice actor talent myself, it is not uncommon for people to be hired via agents if they're not directly interacting with an artist. Like, say, when Rust was doing voice calls for his project of Iron Ranger, Unbreakable Iron Ranger, and he's looking for voice parts. Us being able to submit voice lines to then have repeat work with him in the future would be a direct contact with him. It is one of the better ways to have business and repeat work, especially if it's not direct voice commissions with people choosing to hit you up, like on Twitter, with, hey, I please $20 for whatever you want said, a paragraph even, or repeat work with a concurrent project, which at that point would be legal and viable to tax and salary increases or decreases, which would then require more and more paperwork.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for people to get called for some sample work for casting purposes, and then them not get called back if it's being handled by a secondary part. However, because we know how fucking vocal Visby Poppy is, number 2 and number 3 is the issues here. Number 1, Vivzy Pop talks way too much shit.
Yeah, she really does.
Is a repeat of the same California-based liberal arts assholes that we have come to know on social media in general. Yes, it's an indie person getting a chance to get validated in big-time industry products by showing what it looks like when an industry person works with other industry people and is able to take a new, innovative look from a person who's never been in the business and have fresh new eyes to approach a project. That is a guaranteed thing. That is a good thing. However, it does not do away with the fact that her politics informs her public opinion. So, when Scott Cawthon was being attacked and doxxed and harassed off the internet,
despite her working with him in the past,
she cared more about being able to signal boost to her audience, full of progressive people who watch her show begrudgingly, even though they continue to bitch and whine and say, no, how dare you put gay people in hell, where she was happy to say that on a live stream. She's the same kind of person who will turn right the fuck back around and say, actually, I don't care about that person because he's a shithead, and will make her politics informed about who she gets to attack for all the reasons she gets to attack them. It is every bit as toxic as Alex Hirsch. It's as every bit as toxic as Rebecca Sugar. It just so happens to be, when it comes to those projects, those people were with bigger mainline shit, and her shit is specifically only on YouTube. And with the level of control that comes with not being a part of Disney Channel, not being a part of Nickelodeon, not being one of these fucking people whose entire history isn't basically trying to get kids into more ever riskier bullshit, looking at you, Loudhouse, and your kinks of trying to have this fucking character in fucked up situations that no child should be in, like cross-dressing. Regardless of all the bullshit to go along with what could happen in a show, she gets to have the freedom, at the end of the day, to talk shit to people with things that then inspire the art she makes. So she's able to take the other side of the line. If you imagine a straight line on the road when it comes to art, straight down the middle of Stone Toss, to the right of this would technically... Well, actually, no. Switch the artists. Down the middle would be G Prime.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
At NJ Studios, who the one and only few artists I actually got to interview on what used to be the precursor to what became the Fried Chicanery on my interview series. In the middle is him. On the right side of this is Stone Tossed. On the left side of this is pretty much any fucking artist that makes ooh soft girl, soft boy content. All of them will have the same behavior as what she has. And her behavior is, as long as I'm making money, I don't care about what I choose to make. But when I decide to specifically be an asshole, I'm going to single you out for ridicule, and I'm never going to stop attacking you until I have made clear that nobody can mention your name near me without jumping on and laughing at you with me. She is just a crybaby in all the ways that matter. And that's not going to change no matter what fucking happens. You can talk as much shit as you want about Stone Toss, but at the end of the day, his art's funny. You can talk as much shit as you want about G Prime, and people not liking his new art style. But the fact that he's technically making non-political political cartoons based on tweets and situations that are happening in the world is some of the funniest shit, because sometimes it's not necessarily that his tweet is on the level of something like Pumpkinhead or Yellow Dog, who also make art in this design that he does. Oh god,
his stuff's insane. I love it. Anyway.
But the level of cope that comes from people reacting to it and thinking, oh, you just made this shit up. That didn't happen. I've seen people mauled non-fucking stop where they just say, no, why don't you just draw porn? It's like, well, y'all keep hassling at me. He's about to draw it next month. And now that we no longer have to concern ourselves with Shadman, I'm not sure I want to see what happens next, because it can go one of two ways. Somebody does something stupid, or he does something stupid, which I don't really see, because outside of his comics that are made off of things that happen in the news, he makes more shit off of his book Mary Sue and all the other shit that he's collected from his works before than he does anything else. It just so happens to be that his political shit blows up because of the fact that Tim Pool has a lot of his artwork in his studio and has had him on, and he's used that to then do what I just described earlier. He's taken the drama that comes with his art, and he's turned that drama into bigger drama that then informs more work in the future, so that people get him to draw shit. Whenever something happens in the news, like all the shit that's happened in the last 3 months, providing Biden, he's been on top of it. Just as much as any other political commentator could be. Because, hell, why the fuck not? It makes money, it works. What's the downside? He's nothing at all what people...
I really respect it. That's the kind of hustle I've been trying to aim for, is that you and it's insanely effective.
You just have to jump in with both feet first, really.
Yeah. And it's, again, you have to commit. It's something where it's like my current day job, it can be a pain in the ass at the point where, like, I want to make stuff, but it's like juggling, I guess you could say. Everything simultaneously, I guess.
As many people accuse him of the things that they accuse him of, he's not at all what he's like. Like, that interview is still up on the main channel. Anybody can go watch that interview that I did with him and see that his attitude is not at all what people suspected it would be. He is much more down to earth than you would expect any of these other fucking leftists to be. Especially individuals who call themselves liberals now, because they know that leftist has a certain connotation. Because, man, that is all you'll find on TikTok. The kind of people that are like this top, all over the goddamn place. It is actually one of the things that happened this morning, because a bunch of the people who have still been harassing my account happened to leave me a nice little tidbit. And let me pull up real quick before we move to another topic.
Oh, I thought it'd be good.
It's just a fucking small ass fucking post that it just becomes very obvious when you look at it. What I think I said here on my tweet was... Here it is. What I said here on my tweet was... what was the other thing? Oh, there we go. TikTok trains the average person to become an extraordinary piece of shit. It takes an average person to become an extraordinary piece of shit with pronouns in bio. So if you look here, at this tweet, in case example. Timeless Luna, pause. What was A again? Because you sounded like a whole rocket raccoon. Over here, 28, Pan, BLM, PAL, she, her, they, anime girl shit. This is the level of what you can expect to see on TikTok. It is as cancerous as it sounds.
I think that's intentional at this point, because China's probably trying to make us as docile as they can imagine.
They don't have to really try.
I know, that's my point.
And it sucks, because half the reason why TikTok is meant to be fun is because it's not Twitter. It's more accessible. It's not being fucked to shit by algorithms when it's not getting fucked to shit by algorithms. And for the most part, as long as you pander to the right crowds and people, you can be able to basically make an entire clan rally. And plenty of people have. You can make an entire clan rally and attack whoever the fuck you want, just as long as that target isn't the establishment. Like this tweet right here in general, the person that she's commenting on a video of. This person is an account user by the name of Modern Warrior, who uses their Native American and just general shit-lived following to attack people on TikTok and try to get their accounts banned, because they do not like dissent. And for the last few days, since the day that I tried to post some clips from my stream so that I could be able to promote shit like that, they've been harassing this account of mine to try and get it banned so that I cannot do anything because of the fact that we've been having so much fun with White Member. They found
That's been amazing.
The YouTube account, and then they went to the TikTok account from the YouTube account and from the Twitch account, and have been leaving all the greatest hits. Everything from Coon to, well, use your imagination, basically. I wish I were joking.
They are so progressive. They're so accepting.
I wish I could be joking, but every single day that I go onto TikTok, if it's not thirst traps, it is some fucking Democrat talking shit over things that nobody else talks about or cares about, and somehow wrapping around to explain how that's actually Trump's fault.
I mean, we brought up Gundam earlier. That's literally has been his entire, like, he doesn't do Twitch stuff anymore. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, no.
He's been focusing
it's boring.
on that.
Like, everybody understands what the problem with Twitch is, so it's not fun to talk about Twitch shit unless it's something really big.
The amount of things he's found on there that make you want to question your faith in humanity it's a gold mine. You're not wrong at all. In fact, like, that's like half the fun of the site, and he's been having fun doing that, and I don't blame him. I would have fun poking at that.
It'd be like if we spent a lot of time bashing on e-girls, even though of all the shit we talked about, there's a very high proponency of e-girls in all of them. Animation, anime panderers, general e-girls.
Yep.
A bunch of these VTubers, to use, I think it was BritishKnight's opinion, is that they're not VTubers. They're e-girls with VTuber avatars. Just basically writing...
That's exactly what they are.
Just riding the wave of whatever's popular until they can get to the next thing. And that's kind of half the reason why a lot of this shit started with Pokimane. Because she is an e-girl. For all the money, for all the fame, for all the shit she has, this bitch is unfucking comfortable with the fact that people get to see that she's an ice queen. She's willing to fucking bust the balls off of somebody from offline TV in the form of Fedmeister, one of the editors who came up big over Dom, one of the dudes that was fucking around Canarino, who is an ex-pro of League of Legends, who was signed and is still signed, and now co-streams with Team Liquid for League of Legends content. She's so fucking upset about shit like that. But she'll be front and center to talk about the ever-growing specter of white supremacy in video games. But don't anybody mention Stephanie Lore. Don't anybody ever mention Dear Girl. Proving clearly, from what I was able to reveal, the one time that I was able to finally actually get a clip of it from Zizzarin's mouth, that Safety Council is nothing more than a focus group for Twitch to figure out what they can talk about and what they can't talk about to try and promote switches and changes in the regulatory behavior, the website, to decide how and who should be included on the Insight Tract and how things won't be corrected. And then after getting in contact with the Twitch contact that Amy was able to put me in contact with, that all of the people who are usually the worst of the worst that spend their time being debate me Politibros on Twitch, actually being able to get on top of one of them and actually track them the fuck down and get confirmation of, oh no, we didn't actually have any proof to go with this with, but we're going to now go after them. A lot of the shit basically is, if you're not able to be in the know, you are unsafe and a target. The only way to keep them fucking honest is basically be too big to attack or be so notable that when they come to attack you, they have nothing to use against you. For years, we've seen this happen all the ways around where it could happen from. And it usually happens in the way that it's either they attack somebody like Sargon, or they attack somebody like Destiny, or they attack somebody like Jontron, and they try to use social currency to effectively make their name mud in the news. They tried this with PewDiePie. They then tried it with Count Dankula. They've tried it with a bunch of other YouTubers in general, but it usually doesn't work all the way effectively because they don't have the kind of audiences that this would be effective as a tactic to abuse upon.
It's those who virtue signal. There's a meme I have that goes with the old adage: those who shout the loudest do so to join out the skeletons in their own closet. It's funny. The people who this is effective against are the people who are using this very method.
Now, you bring this up to bring up Momokun, Mariah Mallard. Now, fetish artist / porn star, but originally used to be a cosplayer who ended up getting her career canceled when she put her hands all over K-Bear in a sexual manner. I forget what convention it was. In a bathroom, after then basically being loud and proud about using cosplay to basically supplant for a personality and ego. Guess what she's doing now?
I don't even know what happened to her.
Other than just fetish porn in general.
I'm not surprised.
Like,
she's fat enough that it would actually work to her advantage.
Let's
be honest here.
She got a black boyfriend and everything for this. It started. It started with Chocolate Starfish, but now she is at the point where it's just straight on porn. Everybody saw this coming.
Yeah, it's like it's like, wow, what a waste. Poor children.
Here's the tweet in general. Brace yourselves. This shit is not going to be censored. This is as po as I get this week. But all of these things are starting to come to a point where everything's just dog shit now. Like, entertainment's dog shit. Video games are dog shit because people won't leave us the fuck alone. They don't respect difficulty, so whenever something difficult comes out, you get situations like Game Dad, where Game Dad talks some really massive shit and then tries to block out the world as they get told by the same people who they're trying to defend for, actually, can you fuck off?
I love how, like, Sekiro has become the ultimate, response, the silver bullet to people claiming games need easy mode whenever they bring up the fact that a paraplegic is able to beat the game no problem. So if you can do it, get the fuck out of here with your non-existent argument, or the argument you obviously don't give a shit about.
See, that's actually inside their diatribe here. Let me put this on screen for you.
I know they did. I watched it. I read it. I found it so funny.
Yeah, and then still funny to me that a lot of these people don't seem to realize, like, oh, Dark Souls needs an easy mode. And it's like, yeah, it does have an easy mode.
It's called Pyromancy. It's called Pyromancy, bitch. It's called Max Faith. It's called Dark Moon Blade. Dexterity weapons have continued to be the easy mode of those games, and yet somehow.
Remember TikTok? At one lady is like, she's like, "Oh, games need easy mode. I want to play games. I'm not good at games." And I had to post a mashup. Stop posting about Among Us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this guy's name, Anaram GD. Please do not contact them. They're going to take any of your criticism as harassment. Just point and laugh at them. Okay. Just point and laugh at them. I literally cannot stand this ad.
Then just point and laugh.
I don't think you can message him anyway. I think he has his account to where only people who are following him can see his stuff anyways.
Possibly. I don't know, because the first action he had was to immediately block my account, despite the fact he did not know that I was dyslexic. But Their first message is, I literally can no longer stand this add easy mode to all games, yes, every game, yes, even from software games discourse, because I'm tired of acting like this shit is debate worthy. It fucking isn't, period. Put fucking difficulty and accessibility options in your fucking games. That's it.
Can I play Daddy?
That's it. That's the discussion. There's no debate. But difficulty is a part of the experience. No, I'm not debating about it either. But it cheapens my win. No, I'm not debating about it either. But disabled people have beaten it. No, and fuck you for hiding behind them. This is the same repeat as the bullshit that God. Shark 3.0 tried when he tried this shit, trying to defend trying to defend the e-girl when she was crying about her having one person in her audience laughing at the fact that she was upset that someone was laughing at her playing Kingdom Hearts 2 on easy so she could learn about the lore. That being Ashley Roboto, which then resulted in Kotaku writing an entire article about it. Let me go pull up that article.
I remember that. That was hilarious.
Is she the one who made that really obnoxious shut the fuck up
about
playing on easy video?
Yes, her reaction to that happening was to go off air, take the time to record a video reliving the trauma so she can make a cope video, much like all the other cope videos that she's made, which was the entire emphasis upon the videos that I made on August the 2nd, which I made four of them. 2 of them were bait to get reactions from people like Shark 3.0, and then the third one was a direct response to somebody who just literally wanted to be retarded. And then the fourth one was my real opinion, which is I don't care about you playing on easy. What I want you to do is stop being bad on camera. Because when you're bad on camera, we're going to remember you being bad on camera. In this guy's case, while I try to work this shit up, in this guy's case, this shit's fucking annoying. Because what you end up doing when you do this is it's very simple what the problem is. Because none of them address what the fucking problem is. Because at the bottom of this shit, he talks about, well, my first Soulsborne was Demon Souls. I understand how to play games hard. And it's like, no. You are trying to remove a door when you were asked to build a ramp. That's it. That's literally it. The entire discourse problem is you are trying to remove challenge from games because you claim that challenge is an accessibility issue, because you want to try to make the game simpler for yourself because you can't get past a particular boss or you can't finish a particular quest because you don't read and you're pulling an Aaron Hansen, or you're just bad and need to get good. For the people who do not struggle, the issue that affects disabled players and normal players is not difficulty, but bloat. The idea of a function that can be lessened, like a forced, I must be locked into this once I choose this, and I can't speed this up issue, affecting the artificial time it takes to play a game. Like Tokyo Mirage Session adding a quick session button to the Encore edition of the game. But with that, then comes censorship. They censored the costume of Orihibe, they added more quests, they added more characters, but ultimately, the censorship was so much of a big issue that you had people buying the original issue of the game in order to experience the original content. They value the original content and no censorship over additional content and censorship, because the censorship is still taking things away from the game. It would be the exact same idea with Cuphead. It'd be the exact same issue with any game in question, but we have to go through the rigmarole. Because even though I have a full list, and I have a video here that I can play of my response to this level of garbage, it's the same issue. People's problem with Cuphead, when watching Dean Takahashi shit his ass on camera, is not, oh my god, look at the games journalists be bad at games. No, that's not the problem. The Cuphead the tutorial levels of Cuphead have instructions in the background that explain to you the movement tech and the actual mechanics tech of the game.
He didn't even see it.
No, it's worse than that. It's not he didn't see it. Games journalists in general, Dean Takahashi at least, but game journalists in general are so lazy and are so incompetent that they cannot follow on-screen instructions. And then when you tie this into Sekiro, are so lazy and are so hard-pressed to try to remove as much work as possible to try and turn in review so they can get it first instead of getting it first and getting it right, that they will then cheat on games like Sekiro to try and explain how the content fails and plays without understanding what players want.
You cheated not only the game, but yourself.
Yes. Shout out to
one of the greatest
shout out to
copy
Fetusberry.
pastas ever.
Shout out to Fetusberry.
Yes.
But
the
the
greatest
problem,
copy pastas
but this
ever.
it gets even shorter than that, right? Because then take all of the examples within the last few months. Quinn69 trying to play Final Fantasy XIV on stream and getting wiped with the rest of his party in a raid because he's screaming, "Where are the heals?" I'll bring that up in a second. Because he doesn't understand what stat counters are, because he bought level boosts to try and immediately get to the end game content, because he used to play WoW. And in his mind, when you play WoW, the way that you're able to get things immediately is that you just buy a level boost and you go to the content, because raiding is end game content. This is retarded, but this is part of the problem too. Because if that's how you think of video games, you're never going to learn to be better. Period. And this is not how you get better at games. You don't get better at games by jumping to the end of the game and saying, look, daddy, I can do it too. That's dumb. That's never going to work. That's always going to be cope. And it's always going to result in you not having fun. But then it goes further than that, and I have more examples there, but I'm trying to find my thread because it's right here, and I got to scroll through shit. I don't want to tip anybody off to what I'm looking at. Right?
Oh, that's fair.
So, when this shit happened, from the original post that I made about Carl's Law, which is the people who are bad at games don't get good, this was Quinn's a reaction. If Twitter just banned all the accounts with anime avatars, I'd be convinced they could remove the majority of clowns, misogynists, and toxicity in a single sweep. Obviously, this doesn't go for every anime Andy out there, but damn, it's a lot of you guys. And also, furry avatar people are also pretty bad. That was his reaction to him getting clowned because of this moment.
It's spreading cheek, it's spreading Freddy. Where were the heels? Where were the heels?
He failed a stat counter in what was then the concurrent highest raid. And people laughed about it at him for a very long while. Then you have other case examples when it comes to this shit, where you have this developer.
I mean, I will say this much, Carl, if I may. The amount of use cases for the old meme from Simpsons, am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. That exponentially increasing, I feel like is an indicative sign of why this happens, or rather, it's kind of.
It's more than that. It's more than that. It's they want to be called.
You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Like, yes, but it's more than just that. It's not just, man, it's not me that's wrong, it's the kids that are wrong. No, it's worse. It's out of hand. It's much, much worse than out of hand. The problem has gone from the game journalists trying desperately hard and failing to cover up the fact that they're bad at their job, and now has moved to random users just talking outright garbage about games that they do not play, and trying to talk shit about shit that they do not understand because they are not part of any gaming community. They're not part of any gaming space. They're not a part of the fighting game community. They don't follow any serious games. They don't play the games that are being discussed about. They don't learn what they're talking about. And the best case example is what just fucking happened with David Gaff and Metroid Dread. Official people in the business at this point, people like David Gaff, supposedly a good designer, award-winning even, not understanding to figure out a basic environmental cue on what to do to continue through Metroid Dread, but saying, hey, this secret and this design inside of things like God of War 4 is super based and super better than this, because, don't you know, 3D game is better than 2D game, because 2D game not worth AAA money. Brain dead take, especially when you consider the fact that too many people demonstrated that not only was he lying out of his teeth, but that he was just bad at playing what he was doing. You can go and see that video from Weekend Warrior. Oh, I'm still trying to pull up this shit with,
He's really good. Great guy. Go follow that man.
The first girl. But it's gotten there. And it's the same tired arguments over and over again, especially in the case of Game Dad, which is what brings me up to Shark 3-0, because from this video in question, this is pretty much the entire problem in full, when you really get down to it. It's the same shit on repeat over and over again. From this person, this is Tamor Hussein, who's supposed to be an editor and a Twitch account user himself, but verified checkmark, he doesn't play. He has like maybe 2,000 followers, and he does not play anything that'd be ever close to what you'd want to watch from him. I hate it from when software games are cited in arguments against making games accessible or even easier. I think using Soul's Blood, like Bloodborne or Sekiro to that end is insulting to the games and the people that made them, and shows a lack of understanding that makes them special, right? This is his first sentence. But then, you keep reading down here, and you understand that this man is basically saying, well, people don't actually have to really get good at games in order to really make shit about them, and that's why we should try to make them make an easy mode, because if they want to do it, it's fine. But you know how we're going to do it? We're going to bitch and whine about them, and we're going to try and make them do it. It's retarded. It's extremely retarded.
It reminds me of this one, I forget where it was, but I remember seeing this one guy making an argument that we need to normalize people being fans of a thing if all they do is read the wiki. You know, not watch the TV or the movie.
Oh my lord.
The book. Just read the wiki, and you're a fan.
In other words, literally bust the gate way off, and like that's beyond not gatekeeping. That's like a level beyond it. That's like
the casuals
nuking. What?
They're fucking casuals.
Well, yeah, my point though is that that's beyond a simple removing gatekeeping. That is going through time and essentially erasing the concept of a gate from history, so that no one will ever gate anything ever again. The concept of a gate has never happened in all of humanity. So in other words, what they're going to do for Indiana Jones in the new movie. Put it another way.
I was able to find the article. There we go. Twitch streamers are sick of being shamed for playing on easy. There's no right way to play a game. On April 1st. This dropped on April 1st.
Is this some kind of out-of-season April Fool's joke?
This dropped on April 1st, the day after, or excuse me, the day before. The day before, I dropped my 4 videos on it, which then became the basis of that piece of shit video that they put together. It was 32 minutes of lies to try and talk shit about me. And ultimately, I adjust all of it here in like 2 minutes and 19 seconds. See, here's the part that keeps pissing people off. You and have all the audacity to then say, but disabled people don't beat it. But no, and fuck you for hiding behind them. Bitch, who the fuck do you think you are speaking in behalf of other people? You can only speak for yourself. You don't speak for disabled players, because I literally just fucking responded to that shit, and your immediate reaction was to block somebody who you had no idea was disabled and had dyslexia as a learning disability, which makes it extremely hard for me to play games that require reading. Please stop using disabled people as fucking cudgels for your fucking aesthetics posting, you piece of shit. It's really fucking annoying, and you should probably stop it, because you just did the exact same thing that this piece of shit did the first time we had this around with the e-girl a couple of fucking months ago. And this.
Because he doesn't care about disabled people, he just uses their disability. Anytime they succeed, he just uses it as a cudgel. He just uses disabled people as a cudgel.
You don't have any arguments anymore. Y'all literally don't have any arguments anymore. And we know for a fact that you fucking don't. How many times? How many times are we gonna go through it? How many times? How many times? How many times do we need to see a streamer shitting his fucking dick on stream because he doesn't understand how to play a fucking encounter in a raid, because he doesn't understand what a stat counter is, because he bought boosts? How many times are we going to see a developer talk shit about Dark Souls, immediately saying something that nobody fucking argued for, only to be a smug prick about it, like you're being? How many times are we going to see a fucking grifter and a liar bitch the fuck up, and when caught out and called out for being wrong, immediately start hiding behind his fans and his fucking cohorts, because he has nothing better to do with his life? How many times are we going to watch the same motherfucker capping out of his mind? And how many times is it that when I call this motherfucker out about bullshit, people like me, all the way back then, said the exact same shit I said before when we were watching this happen live? Which is, please stop being dog shit at games and try to be good at them first before you try to take things away from other people. Why don't you try having a better argument? Why don't you try leaving people alone? That ultimately has become the crying problem, or the crying knell. Every single situation that something about gaming discourse comes up. You try to have a conversation about a problem. The person tries to block you. They then tell you, oh, you don't actually care about disabled players. You just care about your own ego. Even if you are yourself disabled. Or you just tell them, hey, can you shut the fuck up and stop talking shit about things you don't know about? And then when you call them out for the things they don't know about, they try to remove your opinion. They present it on a live stream and make money off of telling lies about you. And tell you that, and then tell an entire group of people what they should know about you, but not what is actually true. And then the cycle continues again and again, until it actually blows up into bigger drama, and people like David Gaff have to take a fucking L to the face, because he cannot handle the fact that other people prove that even with the base controller, for example, you can pull off these techniques that he couldn't do in Metroid Dread, because he's just that bad about the game. But don't you worry. Don't you worry. We got people like Patricia Hernandez to tell us about how actually you can't know how a person has the frustration of having to struggle to play something like Microsoft Flight Simulator.
What?
Mm-hmm. Read it for yourself. I'm going to run it through a webpage archive before you do, but read it for yourself. It's that dumb.
The levels of lack of self-awareness this day and age is almost accelerated. If anything, situations have built themselves up in a way that it has allowed things to happen now, I guess.
It's because everything's boring. And so people start focusing in on the things that people find negative or positive and are over-analyzing them to hell.
You don't say.
Look no further than fucking Eternals. How many people came out the woodwork to say, actually, it's being attacked because of misogynists, despite all of those advertisements and all of those review scores that came in being from critics first? I can't blame the homophobes for that one, but they tried it anyways.
It is bad.
Unless they're going to claim those critics are homophobes.
Well, the reviews came out, and surprise, surprise, they're all shit. Who could have seen it coming?
It's almost like, again, it's a lack of self-awareness. It's again it's the children who are wrong. They can't be wrong.
I wouldn't say this as a lack of self-awareness at this point. They're aware that people don't like them, because look what the story just dropped this week.
True.
YouTube removing dislikes from content, claiming
DSP.
they're claiming that they're protecting people like myself
or me
or you. When in actuality, they're protecting people like the presidency, and they're protecting people
Ethan Klein.
like, Ethan Klein and RedTube, and any person who makes shit content that anybody can look at, call out, and see that they're full of shit.
If you need any confirmation of this, DSP is thrilled.
Of course he is. He's one of the people who makes the shit.
Exactly, and Gundam, when he was covering it, brought it up. That's why I'm like, I saw that. I'm like, I am not surprised. No siree.
Is all the things that they've ever wanted, because they're the same people who are successful that can't stand when not every single person in the room's clapping along with them.
I mean, Spoonie's had his replies off for almost as long as he's been gone, if not a decade.
We could say the same thing about the entirety of people from Change the Channel, but it's not even just them. It's just that they are in the same mindset of people whose opinions, who inform their politics and decisions, have to perform a mask of how they need to present themselves in order to be agreeable to the public. The same way that Ashley Roboto does. But at the same time, cannot actually shitpost it up with the dankest of us, like myself. So, when they come in contact with something, they have to do the performative bullshit that demonstrates that they're not one of us. And then when we label them as not one of us, and begin to point and laugh at them for it, they can't stand the pointing and laughing, because the mockery means that other people can openly dissent against them without fear of retaliation and subjugation. So having the ability to hide dislikes will give them some level of the air of superiority again, until they realize, actually, we can just make accounts named dislike.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you can never win, and that's half the fun of it, is that for goodness sake, one of my proudest moments on Twitter was when I got what's his name, to challenge me to a boxing match because he kept on arguing with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not saying your movies are shit. I'm just saying you used a terrible loophole, and it kind of destroyed the video game potential for video game movies. And the fact that you're responding to a random shithead online that you even called that, and I'm getting you angry enough that you're willing to challenge me, some random nobody, I can literally spit in the face of gods, basically. And now Twitter is getting, to freaking hell because like, well, because now we can blind them, and they're like, well, then we have to remove that. It was all fun and games until we got hurt. That old webcomic comes to mind. You know the one. Girls laughing at everyone getting the pies in the face, and then she gets a pie in the face, and then she's writing an article about why pies in the face, why jokes are problematic.
Well, right now in this day and age, jokes are problematic not because they make them feel bad, but because the regime that is currently ruining everything and making everything dog shit cannot be criticized.
Winnie the Pooh.
Well, no. Right now, it's whoever has control.
Well, yeah, but give it time, Carl. Give it time.
Well, I wouldn't say it's China's fault. China's just riding the wave and is taking advantage.
No, give it time. They will be the one running the game eventually at this point.
Well, yes, but right now it's just whatever terrorist happens to be doing stochastic terrorism.
Or those who are, potential. I mean, I always found it so funny that the Chinese, that election night, the Chinese whatever was going down in dropping like a rock in terms of value, and then the water main break and the bleeding stopped. I'm just saying it. To me, it was quite a surreal experience. Honk honk.
I suppose.
Honk honk indeed. But like a big problem with the modern media stuff is like the same thing that allowed Batwoman to get 3 seasons.
I call that the stupidity of whoever works in the offices, but for that I'd have to bring in Jay.
Yes,
I've asked her.
I would love to have her on that for that.
Her opinion about this, and basically, she occasionally, from time to time, will get conversations from people who work in the offices on shows. But during the time in season 1's runtime, when she was focusing on it super hard before transitioning into season 2, being able to talk to a couple of cast members who gave their opinions about the environment of the show. I can't say any more about that and who has contacted her recently, but I will tell you that it is a lot worse than you might think. Like, a lot worse.
May I ask you a question? A very generic one.
Well, before that, is it worse than Ruby Rose described in that one thing she wrote?
Yeah, I was wondering how much worse, or if she was full of shit, or both parties are full of shit. That's the question I want to know.
To answer that question, I can actually just direct you to Critical Drinker, who actually answers that question. It's a little bit of both. You have people just being pushed on the kind of deadlines that you'd expect of the CW, but then it's also the level of stupidity that comes along with just a CW production and bringing in a person who basically was given the role because they had to check off a box. Ruby Rose was hired because they needed to have a lesbian, because they chose in the recent years of comic books to make Kate Kane's character, the cousin of Batman, into a lesbian. So that's all they had, and that's what they ran with. And then when she decided to piece the fuck out because she would rather do action movies than do this dumb shit, they didn't have anything to replace her with, so they just tried to remove the character entirely. But then it's like, well, you kind of can't, because then you're just getting rid of a member of the Bat family for no fucking reason. Kind of like how in Birds of Prey, they took one of the best members of the Bat family, one of the better Robins, Cassandra Cain, and basically transformed her into a copy clone of Harley Quinn, which is a fucking sin. It's on the level of doing something like that, right? So in this case, they have Batwing, they have Batwoman, and I assume at some point they're going to end up getting a bunch of other members of Batman's Rogues Gallery to fill things out.
I'm calling it right now. Signal's going to be one of them.
And when they wanted to try and bring back the character that she was playing in the story, basically they decided to hire a new actress in general, so that they could say, oh, she had facial construction surgery because she's dealing with Black Mask, so they could be able to bring her back in a completely different costume because they're on some really fucking stupid shit right now.
Oh yeah, I saw Jay's the compilation from her live stream reaction to it. That was fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, Batwoman's a really bad show, to put it lightly. But isn't there a funny bit of irony that after they announced that Ruby Rose was going to be playing Kate Kane, that a lot of crazy people got upset because she wasn't gay enough?
Yeah, she was bi.
That's what caused her to shut down her account. They went and sent her death threats saying that she's not lesbian enough. So she just left social media entirely, which was the correct response.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, well, you're still dealing with the stupidity of Hollywood, and you're not going to be able to get away from it for very long. And that's kind of the same thing that's happened with pretty much anything on television right now. Not to mention all the fucking Netflix specials and Netflix remakes and Netflix reboots and readaptations. But then look over at things like Stranger Things and the fact that they're about to have season 4. Is there a single person right now who's been watching Stranger Things who gives a fuck about that show? Because I know I don't.
Actors are. I wonder how much they had to pay the actors to come back, because I'm sure none of the kid actors want to come back.
Well,
how long? Like, wasn't that like a cultural moment for all of like 2 minutes?
For season 1 and season 2. Season 3 is the point where we can officially say it jumped the fucking shark.
Yeah.
Because you can try to have a moment where it's like, hey, it's just like the 80s. It's Goonies. The fucking clip from 2017 Con Bravo of Anthony Mackie just explaining exactly the way people love the Stranger Things. It's the Goonies, but for this generation. Or say the Hollywood remake of It Chapter 1. It being really good because you have kid actors be able to bring these characters to life in a way that only can be brought together with the youthfulness of children. But then you look at Stranger Things Season 3, and it's like, okay, when all of the mind-controlled people in town fell together and created the anatomy body of this alien creature, that's the moment where we can say officially, what, and I cannot express enough, the fuck? Because at that point, it's like, okay, so you have the Mind Flayer, so you have Satanic Panic / D&D and Where's My Son energy, and then you have everyone's favorite non-favorite character being upset at politics in the world, David Harbour, coming in and basically giving people a reason to be overly emotional, and then that ending off on a high note, which then transitions into, well, why would we care about this at this point? Because, well, we're here now, and just, I think this was right before it was just after Power Rangers 2017 came out. People like Montgomery Decree showing up out of nowhere with this fucking mullet and shit, and we're just like, okay, so what's supposed to happen here now? And then at the end of season 3, you're like, okay, so there's no reason for us to keep watching anymore, because it's just going to end off on a cliffhanger note, and we don't have to care, because where do you go after here? And it's just kind of been like that since. It's the same problem with The Witcher. It's the same problem with Dragon's Dogma. Strangely enough, with the new release that came out just recently from Riot in the form of Arcane, which is their League of Legends show, it is good because of the fact that it has nothing to do with this over-complex world. They take a concept and they simplify it and they say, hey guys, let's have fun with this. And do actual storytelling. Because for years, they have been shitting their fucking ass being horrible at game design. Because they are always behind in the wave of innovation. Because they can't do any of the fun shit that other competitors get to do. Because they're stuck making a MOBA. So they just decided, in the case of Valorant, they wanted to steal from CSGO, and they wanted to steal the best parts of Overwatch, and they made themselves a hero shooter game. And then they stole from Hearthstone, and ended up making Legends of Runeterra. And then, with auto chess becoming a big thing within the last year and a half, they used that to create Teamfight Tactics, and then after that, you have the bleed over of all the other shit they have happening with mobile games to bring League of Legends in the form of Wild Rift. So it could be big inside the Chinese markets. Chinese, Korean, South Korean, etc. Now, they are basically trying to get money whatever way possible Because, unfortunately, for a video game that's supposed to be about the social interactions of people, as plenty of people have probably seen if they've been watching my stream when I try to play ranked, it is one of the most toxic environments to be in, not just because of uwu soft boys and soft girls choosing to selectively be angry so they can run it the fuck down in your games, but they are so super concerned in trying to silence players and take away their ability to use chat that after removing all chat in this next season, I expect them to just start working towards removing chat in general. And just have nobody talking anymore, ever. No interaction between people at all. And I think it's going to become the belle du jour for all the other companies, too. Probably Netflix will be the next ones to follow if they keep getting harassed by the gay lobby. It's kind of pathetic when you think about it.
Wait, Netflix? You mean
Netflix.
Their games division?
Yes. Riot made a fucking cartoon so they can make money because they need money.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying, but what does that have to do with chat?
What does it have to do with chat?
Oh,
in League of Legends?
No, never mind. I caught what you said. It just took me a minute. I was having a difficulty, and never mind. I got it.
Are you sure you got it?
Yes, I got it. It just took a minute. It was a weird transition, and me trying to explain it will make me go on a tangent, so I'm not even going to try.
Well, all the companies, all at the same time, seem to weirdly be fixating on removing the ability for people to communicate in general. Which I think is part of the solution they have planned for us.
Wait, didn't that happen in 1984? The book, not the year.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, probably yes, but also yes.
Yes and yes.
I mean, the song that keeps playing in my head as of recently is a song by Oingo Boingo, "Wake Up." It's 1984.
No, but Netflix didn't make a game. Chat's not following. Or at least Moon hasn't following. Okay.
No, they did. Netflix didn't make a game. Like, Netflix made a show based on a game.
But they are going to be making games. That's where I was confused. Okay, so I wasn't crazy in thinking it was a weird way of describing it. Okay, cool.
No.
I'm not crazy. Okay.
Netflix made a show that is based on the lore of League of Legends called Arcane. Yes. Arcane comes from League of Legends, the game, created by Riot. Yes. Riot, the company that was in the news recently, because between it and Blizzard can't stop fucking their employees, need to get successes from Arcane, because League of Legends is focusing on trying to remove people's ability to talk in the video game. Because they don't have a community that's based on having fun. They have a community that is so toxic, they're trying to remove all chat. Because they don't actually want to address the real problem, which is that players are so toxic that you have flaming team members in the same game. And doing so to both big streamers and small streamers on camera. Trying to find the fucking article. From my boy, my man, Richard.
Oh, I've seen advertisements for Arcane now.
Yeah, you can't escape. You can't really escape it anymore.
But the other funny one I keep seeing is advertisements for that weird Lord of the Rings game they're doing, and it just reminds me of the officially licensed browser game for Game of Thrones that JX guy did a review of.
But there's already a perfect Lord of the Rings game, and that's Return of the King for the PS2.
Absolutely.
Like,
you won't stop Warner from trying to sneak in microtransactions, though. Or put Gandalf in that Smash Brothers clone that totally doesn't exist, but it does.
Wait, there's another Smash Bros. Clone, or are you talking
yes,
about
and they DMCA'd the leaks, basically confirming it.
Yeah.
Did Nickelodeon release a?
Yes, they did.
They released one, and now they're releasing one.
Yep.
And apparently it wasn't half bad either.
Yeah, it has wave dashing. The controls are an issue for me. Honestly, I was just blown away by the fact that I found Garfield while data mining. I got it mainly just to extract models from. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys.
Oh, so they were planning on putting Garfield in the Nickelodeon one?
Yes, as DLC apparently. And there's a lot of potential new candidates, but no Hugh Neutron, and that pisses me off.
And in the other game, they were gonna have Steven Universe and I think Bugs Bunny and shit.
And
this was one by
and Shaggy.
And this was the one by WB.
Yes, it was a multiversal game.
If that ends up happening, the unironic I'm only using 1% of my power memes are gonna...
Well, the funny thing that's already been confirmed though, because have you seen the opening to War of the Realms from Mortal Kombat?
No.
Okay, it started the first joke opening.
They did a joke with Ultra Instinct Shaggy grabbing Scorpion and telling me get over here. That's it.
Yeah, he is canon now. I mean, they wanted him as DLC for X or for 11. I don't know if that'll work, and then they just threw that in there. Obviously.
Look, Matthew Lillard does not have a lot of work right now in Hollywood, and he needs to beat his daughters. He needs work, guys.
I respect that man because he actually gives a shit. I really, and that, which is surprising when you know who he's played in the past. You wouldn't expect it, but man, I love that man.
The community.
I was like, please.
Is this a player who played Shaggy IRL?
Yes.
The one that was hassled by 2D Shaggy and Scooby in Looney Tunes Back in Action. The guy who basically took over Casey Kasem after he died.
The last thing I remember being him in was some drama with George Clooney.
He was in Scream. That's what everyone knows him from. That's what I was kind of referring to.
Hold up.
Yeah, he was one of the killers in Scream. One of the several Ghostface killers.
He's done a lot of work since then, but he's basically taken over any 2D and 3D depictions of Shaggy because except for Scoob. That's Frank Welker all day, baby. He's taken over for all of them because he's just really good as Shaggy.
Mm-hmm.
He's learned.
He leans into the memes, which is why I really respect him. He loves it, and I don't blame him because he's pretty chill.
Answering Moon here. The community doesn't play the game; they play each other. No. The community would rather lose a game if somebody like me is telling them how to move and when to move, and they will then mock you inside of the gamer lobby to have the opportunity and the chance to try and tilt you out of your mind so they can try to get your account banned when you call them out for being dog shit. And how are they going to communicate? Pings, probably. That's technically how most people would. But players are already bad at the game anyways, because they don't realize when they have opportunities to make choices and make actions, which is really bad, considering the fact that Valorant has voice chat, and League of Legends has this really fake version of voice chat where you can only talk to people who are in your matchmaking queue, which is bad, because why the fuck would I want to talk to people inside of a game client when I could talk to them over Discord? It's just a very lazy halfway system that they implemented to try and get around actually doing the effort of putting in a real Smite-based voice chat where you actually can talk to members of the lobby, and you can choose to turn your mic on and turn your mic off. And if you turn the mic on, you can hear the other players, which, if you've seen me play Smite, you know that's even fucking worse of an environment. Because then, they're just directly toxic to you, because then we'll talk all the shit, and they will then never actually do anything. They'll just be upset that you're actually talking out the plays, and that you're entertaining your chat when you're playing. It is the most ridiculous system imaginable.
Worst of all worlds.
But we have 7 more minutes left because I had a planned time to go until 7 p.m. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet?
I was just gonna say the last movie I remember seeing Matthew Lillard in was
13 Ghost?
Was The Descendants from 2011.
The Descendants?
Yeah.
I don't recall him being in that.
Yeah, he's the guy who cheats on, who the wife cheats on George Clooney with.
Oh. I forgot. I forgot. I literally forgot.
With Shaggy.
I forget. See, that's the one with Cheyenne Woodley. Before she started doing the non YA adaptation films. How did I not remember?
Yeah. Freaking George Clooney got cucked by Shaggy.
I mean, if anyone to get cucked by, George Clooney probably got the best choice. Just saying. I mean, he put on the shirt, and he put on the shirt to see if anyone could contain this raw power, and he was the only survivor. So
using only 1% of his legs, 1% of his.
Nothing personal, Goku.
Yeah, Shaggy only needs to use the tip.
Only the tip.
Watch him swoosh right in.
And you know, as he does it, the fucking Ultra Instinct theme's playing in the background.
No, he's stroking. He's stroking to the beat of Ultra Instinct. Just dun, 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 dun.
No, even better. Imagine the Akazome but with Ultra Instinct, Shaggy. I mean, but it's Ultra Instinct theme playing, and it's Shaggy.
Was there anything else that I forgot? I don't think I forgot anything else.
Can we cap off the VTuber conversation?
Yes.
Finish?
Yes.
By all means.
Right, so I'm scrolling back through, so I'll basically give a quick summary of the conversation that me and Charza had. Like, basically, after the whole thing of us talking about Silvervale, basically we talked about how, I said, with Dimitri, in the words of Dimitri Monroe, they're not VTubers, they're e-girls with VTube avatars. And we also described how, hold on, just scrolling down to find the right place. How V Shoujo almost entirely revolves around Melody, and if she chose to leave it, the whole thing would probably disband because it would start losing money. We also said how not all of the other members of V Shoujo are grifters. For example, Iron Mouse seems to be quite cool. We talked about how Nyanas is part of V Shoujo. Famous for calling half of our audience perverts for no fucking reason. Then basically I went through a list of each of the other members saying Silvervale has no personality and is just an e-girl with a big titty avatar. Zentreya is literally a dude using text-to-speech and a female avatar. Which
it's the internet.
Yeah, I almost respect it because, get that bread and all that sort of stuff. He clearly knows how to work the system. Fruit was basically a Melody mega fan who used to draw loads of fan art of Melody, who basically nagged her way into V Shoujo by just obsessively never leaving Melody alone. And then there is Vibe and Hime Hajime, who are just kind of there. They're just kind of background characters in the whole thing. And yeah, basically I just kind of went in longer on Iron Mouse, saying how she's got an autoimmune disease, which has kind of kept her grounded, but she just keeps a lot of bad company. And how she's more known for, how she's actually really good when she streams with people who aren't V Shoujo. She streams a lot with Sea-Dog VA, who really should be making anime content, but that's neither here nor there.
I will note something that I mentioned this earlier, and I'm just gonna poke open this because I feel like I kind of want to. Anyway, there was the reason I asked about the green text from Guar. There was a green text that made me look up who she really is online, because apparently there's someone's hear her voice, realize she's sounds familiar, look into her face docs. Oh my god, we're related. I spent all this time, beating the little one and beating with the 1% of power, and oh god.
Yeah, she's Senzawa. She's been on the internet for a few years now.
Mm-hmm. She I will say Guara is quite fun. She's a good entertainer. My niece fucking loves her.
She's fun, and I think she actually rather enjoys being part of HoloLive as opposed to being indie, because apparently she was really fucking miserable when she was indie, to the point where she deleted her own Discord because the fan base she'd accrued, she didn't like hanging out with them at all.
I don't blame it. It's the fan bases are a fickle thing, especially when you're, someone like her.
Yeah, but See, you'll actually find that a lot of HoloLive EN, like the first generation, like all of their doxes, they were all really quite well known before they disappeared. Like,
I get what you implied there. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, it chose the right people, in other words.
Yeah, saying they're not just drawing from any old fucker who applied. They're drawing from people with history in online entertainment.
I mean, to be fair, like I said, like when Gundam came to me and said, "Hey, is there any way you could make something like a rig that used that design you had for the model?" Because I'm trying to find a way of like spicing up the videos, and I'm like, "Oh shit, that would be like I sold on mainly because I could see the winds blowing, heading that direction, at least in the west, and I was like, dude, I want to be part of this." Like I saw that this was only a matter of time. It was almost inevitable. And like I could see the logic in what he said. And he was like saying, "We just need one massive video to blow up," and he got it. But it was the video that the whole situation with Pokey. And let's just say that's last summer. Seeing a design I made all across the internet through all these articles, that was quite a crowning achievement for me. Because I remember when I first designed that, like I was reflecting on it yesterday, talking to my dad. I'm like, it's like I remember designing that model, and I'm actually working on it right now as I'm like trying to make a higher res, higher poly count. But I remember looking at that and designing out everything, and now it's literally everywhere. And I just it's an achievement that I'm proud of.
Yeah, see, I can imagine it is something to be proud of because it is something that at the time Gundam utilized to great effect. To be honest, for a while I thought you were Stu for a while.
Everyone did. In fact, the funny thing was that I didn't even like it's a joke. Like it's a character. He says like he's shouting at someone in the back room. Basically, like I've done cartoons or comics or stories where I've had someone like that, like a background joke. Everyone kind of thought that for the longest time, and then like I kind of ran with it a bit because I was kind of the IRL Stu. But Gundam's like, you can't be doing that because everyone literally thinks you're Stu. I'm like, okay, so like. I mean, I just found it funny that I contributed to the lore of sorts because I made a quick little bit where, because in a video he's like, "Stu, Jesus Christ, Stu's dead," and that became canon. I'm like staring at the T-shirt that that he just sent me of Stu, the skeleton, sitting at the desk with the Gamer Girl bathwater and the headset I designed for fun, and I'm just sitting there thinking, amazing. That this one joke that I made simply that was kind of referencing like the literal dead IT support, tech support at like a phone. I'm just sitting here waiting for something to happen anytime now, and it's on a T-shirt now. Everyone knows it. I mean, I've had like the local guy coming in to repair my stuff. Like I've had a teacher who knows who Gundam is. The school I work at. The guy who was repairing my AC watches him. We're talking a bit about the whole thing with Pokey. It's really weird, but it's quite a fun time,
Yeah. Anyway, like before we finish off, I'll just like to say the last cap for the conversation we had was talking about Belle Delphine. The last thing Senzawa did before she became Gargura was she did a collab with Belle Delphine. Speaking of Belle Delphine, she's effectively entirely disappeared from the internet. She got that bag and now she's gone, and I can't help but feel we the internet collectively got played by that girl.
That was a given. I mean, as soon as
she had her 5-year plan, she got that bag and then she dipped.
I mean, the last thing she did was about a year ago where she posted the porn, and now she's gone. Yeah, I fully 100% agree. That was literally the plan. Yeah. I can tell it's I'm not surprised. No one is. No one should be anyway.
Yeah, Belle Delphine 2016 to 2021. Oh, an era of the internet that the likes of which we shall never have again.
Until the next time, at least.
Or it's kind of like Joji, end of an era, as they say.
I'm just glad Well, I almost say glad. I'm not really glad, but I'm just amazed by the fact that she understood the internet so well that she managed to game the internet for 5 years, and
I'm
in
not
doing so
surprised.
made millions, and then she just dipped.
It was probably the best choice.
Yeah, as Jay once told me, he's like, "Don't go on Twitter." I'm so relieved I'm not on Twitter anymore. It's fucking cancer. I'm like, yeah, but I need it to network. He's like, doesn't matter, still cancer. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I had my druthers, I wouldn't be involved at all. That said.
That said. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about yet that I forgot to mention?
I think we covered most of it, if not all of it. Not bad.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Right, so fantastic. It was great being on.
Great to have you on. I had fun.
I did too.
I'm thinking about having you guys on more often, especially when there's issues that you guys discover that I'm not privy to, because I like to listen and just hear from other people for once.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Don't get me wrong, it's a Sunday and it's midnight, so
Yeah, get some sleep, man.
Yeah,
you've earned it. But both earned it.
Got uni in the morning, but
That's
I'm happy to go.
That's half the reason I planned it around 7. But yes, I appreciate both of you being able to take time out to be here.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm glad to have been able to come on.
Yeah, and
gonna have you both.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm sorry I wasn't very talkative for a while, but I did have fun being on.
Did your laundry come out okay?
Yes, it is all clean and it smells like clean.
Yay. Clean, in the words of Patrick Starr. Clean.
It's good. It's good.
That's good.
Right. So, next week, I don't know if the podcast is going to be on at the same time. I have a thing that I'm working on that I'm trying to get out as soon as possible. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is, but you'll see what it is when it hits my main channel. The reviews from last night should be up by this time tomorrow morning, if not earlier. And I will be back again tomorrow morning with Dragon Quest and whatever it is that Charza is working on. Are you working on any art right now, Charza?
For the channel, I need to be.
Like for the live stream channel or just on your own channel?
Yes, I'm actually working on a few different ideas. One thing I've been trying to do is update. I've been working on updating Gundam's model as we've been talking. I also have, you may have seen on Twitter, I'm possibly taking the Fortnite model of Chris Redfield and integrating that also in the Chris Chan. But one thing I'm working on, I need to sit down and finish, is the Transformers animation. But yeah, I have a few different projects. I need to get them out. It's ADHD this time of year has been a pain in the ass.
Okay. For me, I have everything else there, and for those of you who are listening, if you want to be able to support the podcast and or me, or my two editors here, you can always be able to pledge money at Ko-fi.com and subscribestar.com/singleplayercarl. We are 100% funded off of the memes and the entire salt of both our fans and our haters. So thank you from viewers like you. And fuck you from haters like you. Stay mad. We got more shit coming up to make you mad right next tomorrow. Again, that is Ko-fi.com and subscribestar.com/singleplayercarl. They also have their own channels. The British Knight and Spaced Oyster on YouTube. And Single Player Carl Live is where you will be able to find me almost every day, if not every other day, streaming not just from YouTube, but also from Twitch. And we will always be able to be live on Twitch with more cringe content that you can only subscribe to there by asking for it with your channel points, but also then getting a guaranteed video should you pledge at the $20 tier and more. And that money not only goes directly to me to help fund the projects that I work on, but also goes to fund their payments. So if you want to be able to put a sandwich in their mouths tomorrow, you know what to do. Alright, that is enough from us tonight. I will see y'all in the morning. stay safe, stay bundled up, and remember to wrap yourself up like a burrito and don't get folded like an omelet. Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
4